We're aiming for a controversial 7 out of 10. Shout out to the chess club.
Good morning, everyone. I've missed you. It's been too long. Too long. But it's okay. I don't know what that last little bit was. That was weird. Hi, everyone. Hold on. Realized I'm not wearing my headphones yet. Please hold. Okay. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? Everybody vibing? Living your best life? I am a wee bit sick, actually. So we will see kind of how this goes. I'm not gonna push it because we have a good number of things to cover later this week. So I don't want to like lose my voice or anything. So we'll play it safe. But I'm gonna be cautious. But yeah, in case you missed it in chat, like 3 or 4 minutes ago, they just confirmed AC Red is actually AC Shadows. So there's that. Tune in for the official cinematic world premiere trailer May 15th, 9 a.m. So that's a thing that's happening now. So there you go. We've always kind of suspected it because almost every single time Ubisoft will do this, and they will do a little like they'll do a little preview sort of cinematic reveal, and then they'll do the full gameplay reveal at their summer show. And it seems like this is going to be the same thing. But normally they do like they'll do something like well, honestly, normally it leaks. So it's nice to see that the trailer at least hasn't leaked yet, but we'll see. But anyway, so that's the thing. Chrono, thank you for the 20. My goodness, I've had quite a lot of free time at work recently and have been basically binge watching your second channel. Been following your main for a while, but I just want to say I appreciate what you do, man. Thank you, Chrono Hawk. And I mean, 20 bucks, very, very generous. And I'm glad that I could help those slow days at work pass a little bit faster. That's great. Are these Sennheisers? Yes, these are Sennheisers. I got the like Steel Series, whatever, Nova Pro thing. These to replace my like 6-year-old Astro A50s that I like. But I'm gonna be real. No shade intended. These I just don't think are for me. The Steel Series ones. I understand a lot of people really love them, but with my very particular use case, I just don't think that they are gonna do the job. They have like the 2 separate USB-C inputs, and then everything's done through this little interface control box thing that it has. And for 99% of people, I'm sure it'd be great. But for me, because everything goes through my Go XLR, it actually creates more problems having a separate thing, which kind of sucks that like it's too broken up for me. But it's, you know, first world problems. Yeah. I've heard gaming headsets are actually overpriced trash. If sound quality is the first thing, like the thing is, you're often with gaming headsets, you're gonna be paying for like the microphone to be built in. Like this has a little microphone that you like pull out of like here. See, so it's got like a microphone. I don't need a separate microphone in my headset. Like I don't. I have a much nicer microphone than anything you get on a headset in front of me. So I don't really need that. But you still pay for it, you know? So sometimes just getting a nice headset that's meant for just really high quality audio is just frankly better than the alternative. But these headphones are very nice, but they are, of course, wired into a big Valhalla 2 deck and headphone amp. So you have to have a separate amplifier just for your headphones, which is a little bit elaborate, but that's just how it be. That's how it be. Anyway, Russell, thank you for the super chat as well. Syndicate was the last AC game that I played. Might pick this one up considering I always fantasied about ninjas and assassins together since Brotherhood. Yeah, well, it's being done by the same team as Syndicate and Odyssey. So I fully expect it to be freaking massive. It's going to probably be pretty overwhelming, but it's going to be more of an RPG, like a narrative RPG, than like Valhalla was. Valhalla, in my opinion, was just too big for its own good, and I'm worried that something similar is going to happen here. But we'll see. I mean, tomorrow we're gonna get a cinematic trailer, and we'll go from there. Luke, I had one of those Steel series for 3 months and my hub died. Yeah, well, for me, it's the biggest thing it does like an active noise canceling thing, which for me is actually not what I want. And I haven't been able to find a way to turn it off. And in addition to that, it's got some cool stuff. Like it has 2 batteries you can hot swap between. So one is always charging in the little control station. You take the battery out, put it in the headset, which is really, really cool. But for me, it's also not that practical. The best wireless headset that I've used, in my opinion, was that Astro A50. And that thing, I used it like every day for like 5-6 years, however long I've had that headset. And it's been great. But it just finally, after we had like one of those big power like rolling blackouts during that thunderstorm, I think there was a power surge and it finally just fried it, which sucks. But I mean, it did a great job for a very, very long time. And it was just nice because you have the headset, you put it in the dock, take it out, it's good to go. Like it just worked well for me. Would I consider myself an audiophile? When I was selling luxury home theater equipment, I would probably say yes. I've tried to get off of the audiophile bandwagon because there is no end to the expense. Like I've shown you guys some of those like outrageously expensive, like Bowers and Wilkins speakers. Once, like I went to trainings where they would teach us what to listen for and like how to tell the difference between really, really nice speakers and crappy speakers. And once you've heard that difference, you can never unhear it, which is one of the most painful things about it. So like I've been to the studios where like they'll show you these speakers and they'll let you listen to them. And there is, I mean, it makes music sound better than live. Like it sounds better than if somebody were in front of you singing, because it's all perfectly balanced and mastered and everything. But there's that. And if you don't want to pay $100,000 for a pair of speakers, not to mention for these speakers, you're going to be paying $100,000 for the speakers and probably further another $100,000 in amplifiers and all sorts of room treatment stuff. Like these are outrageous. Like I can hear the difference between these and a $5,000 pair of tower speakers, but it's one of those things where you kind of, I would honestly encourage people, frankly, not to go to the studios. And like, if you've got some money, if you got expendable income and you're thinking, maybe I upgrade my home theater, just go to like a Magnolia Home Theater Design Studio. Don't go crazy, because the second you hear this stuff, every other speaker on the planet is gonna sound like you're underwater. It will ruin you. It's horrible. Just don't do it. Don't taste the forbidden fruit. I'm not saying I would ever be pushed to the point where I would spend $100,000 on speakers, but what I mean is, once you've heard what those sound like, everything else will always sound like crap. Yeah. Let's see. What is it? Kashiris, I think. Tara, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Rocksteady will make a Batman game again? Honestly, no. At least not a traditional one, I don't think. I'm pulling up an article I had saved because, oh, come on, load for me. It just says loading, please wait. Come on. Content not yet available. Maybe I just have to sync. I put all of these articles I find on OneNote on my little account, and sometimes if it's not synced up, then it'll give me trouble. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Let me open this link, and I can. Oh my god, I did it again. Copy link. So what I'll do is I'll just show you this. Because I saw this video or this article pop up, and I figured I could just show you guys. So in case you have not seen it, let's see. Also, you guys are being very generous today. My goodness. Cooper, thank you for the 5. You can turn off noise cancellation by quick tapping the on-off switch. Quick tapping. Okay, I'll try that. See if that fixes it. Thank you. Let's see. I am an intern at a company I cannot name, and I want to show my bosses the feelings of the gaming community. Can I have you and your comm do a survey? You can reach out to Luke at 28th Avenue. Well, it's 28thave.com. And if you want to do something sorted, my agents can work with you on that. But we're not going to like do a live survey or something. Russell, let's see, I read that one. Okay, sweet. Thank you everybody for the super chats and everything. I appreciate you. And Rumi, like I said, if you want to reach out for the survey, we just are going to vet it, because I'm not going to like send out links to everybody without us doing our homework. You know, just for security reasons. But okay. This article, oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. How could I forget? New segment. There you go. Rocksteady was reportedly behind the decision to make Suicide Squad a live service game. This is something I've mentioned hundreds of times at this point, and it's based off of reporting that Jason Schreier did like a year ago. And it basically is just that everybody wants to fall back on the idea that this was big baddies at Warner Brothers that forced Rocksteady to make this game that they didn't actually want to make. And that's not actually the case. The evidence suggests and points to the fact that Warner Brothers certainly was happy to get another live service game, but that Rocksteady themselves were the ones that reached out and wanted to do a live service game. Now, why that is, because a lot of us are like, why on earth would they ever want to do a live service game? Like, what could they possibly get from that? And I mean, honestly, I'm sure that they probably get like kickbacks, the high revenue the games do. The owners of the studio might make more money, get better bonuses. So there could be stuff like that. And then the other piece of it too is like, the reason live service games are so successful is because they make a lot of money, and because the reason they make a lot of money is because people play them and people enjoy them. So it very well could be that the team over at Rocksteady just frankly liked live service games and wanted to make one of their own, and thought that if anybody could do it well, it would be us. We're Rocksteady. We made the Batman Arkham games. Of course we can figure it out. It's kind of aged badly, but you know, that's a separate issue. as you see in the article, so the live service model was the source of many Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's fans' complaints. I don't know if they were fans about the game when it was revealed and during its closed alpha period, leading to middling to low review scores on launch. Players noted that during the alpha test period that the moment-to-moment action was sometimes fun, but the game overall was marred by a ton of grinding required to unlock many of its unique items or cosmetics. The other issue, and I would say the core issue, is that it's just a bad live service game. It's grindy, sure, but there's only like 2.5 hours of content in the entire game, and that lasts about 10 hours through the campaign, if you can even call it that. And after that, it's just the same 3 missions through the Elseworlds in the end game. Like, normally the end game is like, okay, you grinded and you did the main story for 50 hours or 100 hours. Now you get into the end game when you can really start to fine-tune your build. And that's when normally the game gets good. Like Monster Hunter really gets good after the story. You know, story. It's Monster Hunter. It's not like a traditional story. But after you get past the final encounter and, you know, the DLC will open up if you haven't finished that yet. But once you start going through those master ranked fights, like that's when the game gets really, really good. With Suicide Squad, it's just the opposite. And Monster Hunter, I guess it depends on how you define live service, but I guess it technically is, even though it does have a lot of DLC. I don't know. I don't know how you would phrase that, but all told, it's just a bad live service game, and that's the bigger problem at the end of the day. So they go on. While many blamed Warner Brothers for the sudden shift in direction for the Arkhamverse, a recent earnings call from the publisher confirms that leadership at Rocksteady were the ones who ultimately made the call to turn Suicide Squad into a live service game. The report, which came from Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav and was reported on by Jason Schreier, seems to confirm that the publisher gave Rocksteady some degree of choice in the matter, and Rocksteady's bosses gravitated towards the live service angle themselves. You can see Jason reported on this during the earnings call, specifically saying, on the Warner Brothers Discovery earnings call this morning, CEO David Zaslav said that their quarter's financials took a hit due to the disappointing release of Suicide Squad, the newest game from Rocksteady, which is true. While it's unclear who specifically at Rocksteady made such a decision, co-founders Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker left the studio in 2022. It was like December of 2022. It was very, very late. Shortly after the game entered full development. Which entered full development? They left? I'm pretty sure it was in full development for longer than that, but I don't know. Which has led some speculation regarding their role in it. Since they were the main heads of the studio when the game began development, some believe they were aware that the direction would be unpopular and left to avoid public backlash, though this is purely speculation. It is certainly weird. I remember when this news first broke that they were leaving, it just came out as really, really odd. They issued press releases and stuff, and at that time, they were saying they were leaving to go pursue other things. We now know that they were going off to make a new studio, and that studio has been founded in, I think, also London, relatively close to Rocksteady. And my understanding, at least, from LinkedIn posts, is that a good number of people from Rocksteady have gone over to work at that new studio. So when somebody asks in chat, and they're like, do you think that they're going to do another Batman Arkham game? Like, honestly, if Warner Brothers was going to hand it to somebody, it'd probably make more sense to hand it to the studio that Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill founded, but maybe they want to go off and do something totally, totally different and new. I don't know, but it seems like Rocksteady, the team that's there, is a team specifically built out for live service games, and anybody that was doing single player stuff has moved on to that new studio from the original founders. Despite being set within the Batman Arkham universe, the always online looter shooter approach with a battle pass system failed to impress fans of the games, especially since it was the first full-fledged Arkhamverse title since 2015's Arkham Knight. Zaslav allegedly referred to, quote, the disappointing release of Suicide Squad, end quote, in the same earnings call, citing how the game has not performed on the level the company was expecting. Yeah, the controversy surrounding the game did not stop there either, as fans also took issue with the game's treatment of Batman in what was assumed to be the last time the late Kevin Conroy's final vocal performance as the character. Without sales numbers and budget information, it's unclear just how much of a loss Warner Brothers Discovery suffered from the game's lackluster performance. Though Zaslav's comments confirm the profit hit was significant. Yeah, by most metrics and estimations from analysts, both the napkin math that we've done on stream and then also what people that really know what they're talking about in the industry analysis industry. Yeah, there you go. Brilliant, Luke. But with industry analysts, they've looked at it and they estimate that this thing probably lost a couple of $100 million, which is significant, certainly. So it's all just pretty devastating no matter which way you cut the pie and slice the cake. It's all just bad. But I think that the long-lasting effect of it is, for one, I think the game had, maybe the lessons to learn is that the game had too long of a marketing cycle, and they went back and forth too much on what the game actually was. They initially were pitching it as, look, it's a Rocksteady game, get excited. People got excited. And then they go, oh yeah, and it's live service. People got disappointed and upset. And then they pull back, they delay the game by a year, and they're like, actually, it's still a Rocksteady game. And yes, it's live service, but it's a Rocksteady game, and there's going to be tons of free content, and we're very pro-consumer with it, blah, 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 blah. And it ended up that while technically it had the most minutes of cutscenes of any game they've ever made, the overall story was extremely minimal. And even stuff like when they introduced the Joker, you remember when they were saying, yeah, so Harley, like, her reaction to the Joker is going to be really interesting for fans to see, because, you know, she has her own Joker that she's struggled with and that she's got a relationship with that, you know, resolved itself, let's just say. And so seeing a new Joker is going to be really interesting for her, because it's going to really call into question a lot of those feelings. And in the game, when the Joker shows up, there's like a 3.5 minute cutscene, and she doesn't say a word to the Joker, if I recall correctly. She just like passively acknowledges his presence, and that's it. Like across the board, it was just, it felt very, very misleading. So I just think in general, it was just a swing and a miss across the board. And then as a live service game, you know, as a narrative game, it fails. As a single player, it certainly fails as a single player game. And then as a live service game, it also just fails because it's the amount of content was so lackluster, and even the season 1 update has just left it totally wanting. And it's just unbelievable that they thought that this was going to be enough. And now if we look at the player numbers, I would wager it's going to back this up. Yeah, they're under 100 players in the game. And this is globally through Steam. You can see season 1, they peaked at about 3,000, and within just a few days, it was plummeting again. And now you see just ridiculously poor player numbers. But this is what happens when you have no content for a live service game, when you try to pitch it as a narrative game, and the narrative fans are pissed because not only do you do stuff in the narrative that's just gross, like having characters piss on the corpses of other characters, it's just across the board a mess, and they're reaping the consequences of it. So maybe they can dig themselves out of it somehow, you know, maybe after like 4 more seasons or something, it gets good enough. But the fact that we waited months, well, not months, it was a month for the season 1 update, and it was so lackluster, and then the final boss fight's just another reskin, you know, for Brainiac, it makes me really question their abilities to get content out in any significant way. So I do not expect this to magically fix itself. I personally expect that support for the game will probably end by the end of the year. And, you know, thank you players for your wonderful support, but we've decided to move on from Suicide Squad and start working on the next adventure, or whatever they're going to say. So that's my expectation. Is anybody really surprised? Probably not, but still. Real quick, thank you everybody. Let me catch up on this. Oh geez, sad Kermit. Oh no, he's sad. Sad Kermie. Oh, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships on YouTube. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And also Beefy Jeefy, I guess. Thank you for subbing on Twitch as well. Thank you. And Jacob, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Luke. Have you heard anything about the Zenimax Online Studio games? No one has been mentioning it in talks about the June showcase. Yeah, so they've been working on something for ages. Like, ages. And they've been hiring like crazy for it for ages. Whatever it's going to be massive. Some people have rumored it's like a new Fallout MMO, like an actual MMO. I don't know if I believe that. I think it would have leaked by now if it were something Fallout related. And I mean, the FTC hearings, you know, we're saying stuff. There were rumors that it was like a new fantasy MMO or something. I don't know. I don't know if there was anything really reliable in those FTC leaks to figure out and decipher from. Please let it be the Fallout 3 or Oblivion remaster. Well, the thing is, like, the Fallout 3 remaster allegedly is just being done by Bethesda Game Studios. So I don't think that Zenimax would be doing it. Zenimax is a team that specifically specializes in massively multiplayer, you know, online games, and I just don't think that they're going to be doing that. But maybe they will. I don't know. But it's going to be, I think this Xbox showcase, people are kind of sleeping on how much stuff they're going to have. They're going to show more of Indiana Jones. I believe they're going to show Doom, a new Doom game. I think they're going to show a new Gears of War game. I think we'll see more about Fable. Like, I really think we're going to see some, the Shattered Space DLC. Like, we're going to see a lot. And Xbox is certainly relying on that, just overwhelming people to the point where they kind of forget about the layoffs and all that stuff. Yeah. It's my expectation. Luke, apparently Red Dead Redemption 1 on PC info has leaked. Accidentally Rockstar launcher scripts today. Yes, I did see that. We do have that bookmarked. So I'll pull that up. Which I guess we can just mention real quick. New segment. So Tez 2, who is like a super, super reliable Rockstar Games reporter on Twitter/X, posted this. It looks like Rockstar is gearing up to release Red Dead Redemption 1 on PC, and this was taken from a script within the launcher site file. They updated it today, added these strings, marketing strings, the same way Rockstar promotes GTA 5. And in it, he says, quote, Red Dead Redemption, or RDR underscore product promotion underscore intro underscore body, quote, journey across the sprawling expanses of the American West and Mexico in Red Dead Redemption and its zombie horror companion Undead Nightmare. And then, like, usually that's an indication of like a special character that's not recognized in the code or something. Now available on PC. RDR underscore product promotion underscore intro underscore long title. Experience the epic Western adventures that defined a generation. Dun, dun, dun. So it's probably happening. The thing is, with all of this stuff, though, I always try to remind people, like, do you guys remember when they released Red Dead Redemption on the PlayStation, like with the updated PlayStation version? They announced that it was coming. They did this big announcement. Everybody got super excited. And then it turned out it was a PS4 port. It wasn't even a PS5 port. It came to the PS4. And people got really upset because it didn't even have 60 FPS support at launch. Later, they patched it and added 60 FPS support. But they just they didn't announce that part, the part that people really wanted. It was really, really odd how they handled it. It was really, really stupid, but they did that. But as you can see, I mean, it's a PS4 game and it was released on August 17th of 2023. It was just really odd. So I would expect them to bring it to PC, but I'm also like, guys, who really expects it to be a good port. Like they've shown very recently that they have very weird priorities, you know, like they announced this thinking people would be thrilled, and obviously a lot of people bought it and liked it. But then the part people were really excited for, which was the 60 FPS boost, they updated and patched that in later, like a month or two later, and didn't say hardly anything about it. And it's like, but that was the big thing everybody wanted. Why did you hide that? Like the thing people wanted, you didn't make a big deal about for some reason. It was just weird. So I'm hopeful that it's a really good port, that there's lots of, you know, lots of customization, that there's lots of things that can be done. And performance is really good and it's optimized. And I mean, ideally even HD texture packs and stuff like that would be great. But worst case scenario, modders will get in there and improve some stuff. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for that one. But we shall see. We shall see. I would expect they probably drop that in the next like week or two. They announced that. As for when it officially launches, who knows? But yeah, I mean, I think that that's a layup for them. Easy money. People on PC will buy it in droves, play it, have a good time. It'll be great. But yeah, Briven World. Nobody expects this to be a good port, but people will buy it anyway because it's probably the first time a lot of people on PC or PC gamers, they're able to play the game. Yeah, no, and I mean, even back with the PS4, PlayStation, whatever port, even with that, people still bought that in droves, even though it was like a really kind of lackluster offering. Like it's 2023, we're in the middle of the PS5 gen, and you announce a last gen port of your game. Like, who does that? Rockstar. And guess who gets away with it? Rockstar. It's baffling. It's like, okay, we're in the middle of the PS5 generation. Let's release a port for something that came out a decade ago. You know, it would be like Nintendo announcing a new game or a port of some game from like the GameCube or something, and it's a Wii U port. And you're like, but that's like your last piece of hardware. Why are you doing that now? Like, why? What? You know, it just wouldn't make any sense. You know, it's just stupid. It's just big stupid. Big stupid. Kush, thank you for the re-up of your membership. 12 months. Ooh, baby, my goodness. Hey Luke, how are you? I'm doing good. I'm a little sick. I'm sick. So we're gonna be cautious. I've got my Dayquil, but we're gonna be cautious, and I'm not gonna push myself too much today. If I start to feel my voice going out, we'll probably call it. I'm good right now, but if I start to feel that, we'll call the stream, because I don't want to lose my voice before, you know, the week's even started. But we're doing okay. Did you see the Gorilla video over how they created the Horus boss fight? Pretty cool. I did not see that. Let me copy that up here into another tab. I will look that up, because that sounds really interesting. Yeah, building, official building, an epic fight, behind the scenes video. Interesting. I love that stuff. Thank you for the suggestion. That's awesome. Okay, I will look at that. I'll look at that temporarily. Okay. Let's see. It's retro. First time catching you live. Glad you're here, my friend. Glad you're here. Todd candle might help. It might. It also might cause all my stuff to break. One of the more recent times we had that burning, all my computers crashed. It was a whole thing. Thoughts on the Square Enix saying, screw you, Sony, we're going multi-platform, Luke? Yeah, I do. I think I have an article pulled up on that. Let me see. Bookmarks. Yeah, I guess we'll touch on this. New segment. You're welcome. Square Enix says it's done with PlayStation exclusivity after profit drop. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. This doesn't really surprise anybody. We've talked about this a bit in the last few weeks. You can see in its latest earnings release, Square Enix reports a profit drop of 69% year over year, thanks in part to MMO and mobile device sales declines, and also growing operational losses from losses, I can't read today, from high dev cost amortization, even if sales are up slightly. But the company has made it clear it plans to make the most of those high development costs with releases on more platforms. Square Enix will, quote, aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PCs. Many of Square Enix's biggest games have been locked into platform partnerships, like last year's Final Fantasy XVI and this year's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, both out on a single system, the PS5. Even if that console is very popular, Square Enix now fully understands they cannot limit themselves to this strategy, no matter what kind of relationship they've had with Sony. Some are saying this reflects poorly on Sony, but I mean, any of these other companies would lock up exclusive third-party deals for big games if they could. The onus here is really on Square Enix for doing this for so long with for so many big games, and now they've realized they finally have to break or have to expand for many of these titles. It's not clear if this means the games I just mentioned specifically will come to other platforms, however. So the deal was excuse me. The deal with Square Enix sorry, my voice is dying. The thing with Square Enix is that they have been struggling in recent years to find like the hook, the mass market appeal, because Capcom is able to put out games like even a Dragon's Dogma 2 that appeals to people who have never played Dragon's Dogma before, appeals to people who have never played any of the games from that studio before, and they see the clips and they're like, that looks cool and badass and I want to jump into it. And Square Enix has just struggled with that. And I think part of it, you know, my personal theories are that I think Final Fantasy has a very devoted fan base, but Final Fantasy demonstrably is not great at appealing to new audiences. You are either a Final Fantasy fan or you are just like, it's just something that is something you're aware of, but you just are not like that into it. You don't buy into it. And I know from personal experience, a lot of friends of mine that are like, yeah, I've heard of Final Fantasy. I know what Final Fantasy is, but I saw 16 come out, and 16 is just too much. Like, I don't know where to even start. It's kind of a bit of a barrier for me. And so they just hold off. And it's like I've done with the MS Paint example before. Like, whenever you're selling any product, you don't want any barriers at all in the way preventing people from buying your product. Like, if you imagine a little corridor, you know, you could imagine you got a big room at the end of the corridor with massive treasures, and the treasures here are the joy and the amazement that will be found if you play Final Fantasy, let's just say Final Fantasy 16. Okay, great game, very impressive, you'll have a great time if you play it. But most games, like, say, what's one that has great mass market appeal, like Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a sequel. It's an established franchise. There is lore that's referenced within the campaign of it. But when you see it and you see the trailers, there's only a couple doors, like the $70, or rather at the time it was $60 full price tag. And then, you know, at the time it was on current generation hardware, so that wasn't really a speed bump. So really, like, the only hiccup and the only hesitance somebody might have is the initial cost. Everyone is talking positively about it. Everybody's saying you should definitely try it. There's just so many reasons to go into it. And there's only like one door in between. But with Final Fantasy 16, it's a little bit different. With Final Fantasy 16, people look at the 16 as like a barrier, because like, I don't know the lore of the world, that, and like 15 other games at least. That's a lot. And then they get told, no, you can play this by itself. You don't need to play the others. You can have a great time with it. But that's still a barrier. Somebody thinks about it. And then there's, you know, the full price tag. And then you hear people talk about, you know, how it's super cinematic, but also the dialogue's a little slow. It's definitely taking its time to tell stories and stuff. And, you know, you just end up with a series of doors in the way from you getting over here. And if you're a fan of Final Fantasy 16, none of these bother you. You know, you just walk right around them and you go through a separate tunnel and go just like straight to the door. But if you don't have experience with Final Fantasy, there's a lot more barriers involved, and it causes a lot of hesitancy. Furthermore, I think Square Enix, we talked about this just on Friday, they are so desperate to find something to latch onto to make more money that they're doing stuff that really makes you hesitant to support them as a company. And what I mean is, like, they are still, as of March, actively pursuing partnerships for NFTs, like NFT integration into their games. And this is something like even Ubisoft, who we all kind of poke fun at for doing stuff like this, even Ubisoft has walked back their NFT pursuits and are like, it's probably not worth the trouble. But Square Enix is still pursuing it. It's crazy. It's crazy. But this is something they're still doing. They're still pursuing the NFT thing. We just haven't really seen the implementation. But if they're getting more and more desperate, they need more and more money, I wouldn't be surprised if this summer they announce some games or something and they're like, oh yeah, we've got the new Final Fantasy final part of the trio, for Final Fantasy VII, and it's going to have a brand new NFT marketplace or something, and people are going to lose their minds. Hopefully they're more aware than that, but they're still pursuing it. It's wild. Russell, do you reckon there will be a time when video game studios will straight up start competing with Weta or Scanline for VFX works in movies and shows? Probably not video game studios, just because one is an interactive medium, one is not. We do Kena Bridge of Spirits. That was an example of a team that specialized in animation that then made a video game, and so they kind of shifted over. But I don't think you'll ever get to the point where, like, Naughty Dog, for example, is taking outside work to work on movies or something. It's not something that would be profitable for them. There's other companies that specialize in that and will do it faster and probably better. So I don't really expect them to. They will use similar tools, but still. I heard somewhere that NFTs are in use in Japan, but not what Americans would think of as NFTs. Maybe that's why they're still hooked on it. I've said for a while, there is hypothetically a use case where NFTs could be very pro-consumer and could be really cool. And the instance and example I've brought up is, like, if you were able to go and buy an NFT, or rather a digital copy of a video game, and then that has a non-fungible token tied to it. So you have, like, a copy of Red Dead Redemption 1 on Steam that you bought. And then because it has a non-fungible token tied to it, you would be able to, in theory, sell that token to a buddy of yours for $5 or give it to them. And then they would own that very unique digital token that identifies itself as a license for this game. So you'd be able to sell digital games back and forth to each other instead of just like renting them from online stores. So you'd be able to sell digital copies of games that you've bought. That's something that's super cool, right? But there is no way on earth that they would ever use it that way. Steam, I don't think would ever implement something like that. They wouldn't be interested, because then, that causes their sales to drop. Why would they do that? Like, why would they encourage you to do that? The whole premise of the digital thing that makes it so profitable is that margins are super wide. You don't have to pay for distribution and stuff. And you also, if you don't have a game, like, there's no used copies of games. You still have to buy them through a digital storefront. You can try to pirate them, but then you miss out on updates and patches, and online stuff won't work and all that stuff. So the one potential use case where I'd be like, okay, that's a cool use of NFTs. The one use case where I would potentially support them, there is no way on earth that these companies would ever pursue it. Instead, all you ever hear about NFTs is like, oh, you'll be able to buy a cosmetic And then, you know, through like maybe a gacha or loot box system, you'll be able to get new cosmetics that then you can sell and trade with other people. And every time you sell and trade them, we will take a cut as the brokerage firm basically selling these NFTs between players. It's just meant to get more money out of you. So, you know, if companies like Square were pursuing, you know, digital licensing so that you could sell digital copies of games back and forth between players, that would be good. That would be a pro-consumer move, and that could really revolutionize multiple industries. I mean, even online music, you'd be able to buy albums through like iTunes, for example, if they even sell music anymore. And then you'd be able to like sell an album to somebody when you're done with it and when you don't really listen to it anymore, just like you used to be able to sell CDs. But now, you know, like there's no way anybody would ever pursue that, because every executive knows that that's not going to make them more money. That will make them less money. So there's no way that they ever do it. There's a reason Steam is about to change their family sharing, so you can no longer share your games with anybody. At least in the beta right now, you cannot. Maybe they'll change it in the final implementation, but I highly doubt it. Yeah. And I will say, you know, I won't call anybody out, but I do, I do know somebody, I do know a couple of people that share their libraries with each other, and it has straight up like saved them thousands of dollars over the years, I'm sure. Because one of them will buy the AAA game that's a single player game, and then they'll share their library with somebody, and then they'll download it and then go offline and play it after they verify it. And it just, I'm sure they lose money on it. But that's the thing, like NFTs, there is a world in which NFTs could be useful. But the only way in which it would be useful would lose the companies that are pushing it money. So there's no way we will ever see it. So instead, all we ever hear about NFTs are ways for companies to milk you for more money, which is why it immediately turns people off, which is, you know, unfortunate. It's why when people said NFTs are a scam, I was like, well, we got to be maybe a little bit more precise, because there is a world in which NFTs would be really good for consumers. But because the companies are deciding how they're implemented, there's no way it will ever be good for consumers. But like, not all NFTs are necessarily scams, but the only ones you ever hear about definitely are, you know? Did I ever buy NFTs? No. You couldn't pay me to take an NFT. I am, no. No. I'm good. People were like asking me on one of our Finance Fridays, they were like, so Luke, have you invested in Ethereum or Bitcoin or something? I was like, bro, you could not pay me to take Bitcoin. Like, no. And also, if you ever find yourself saying invest and any crypto coin in the same sentence, you don't understand what investments are, and you should stop. You should get some help. Real quick, do you guys want to hear the most outrageous, insane thing I've read all year, probably? You ready? This is insane, okay? This news, we just talked about the Square Enix thing. This tweet comes after the news broke of Square Enix wanting to go less exclusive on PlayStation, okay? Whatever you're imagining will not prepare you for that. Like, what I'm about to read you from somebody is one of the most unhinged, out of touch, insane things I've ever read in my life, okay? Buckle up, buckaroo. It's wild. From Magomed Anyebomedov. PS5 owners are now treated like black people in 1939 USA. We are now second-class gamers, and neither Sony or Square care about us anymore. Just like black people had to give up their civil rights, we PlayStation gamers are having to forfeit our exclusives. I mean, what do you even say? And apparently this is like, apparently this guy's real. Apparently people like went back into his post history and found that he said things similar to this for a while, and he's just that unhinged. Yeah, I don't I don't even know like what to say or how to how to frame it. Like, it's just, you're not even wrong. You're so far away from even being wrong that you're just like, the level of brain rot that would be required for this is unbelievable. Like the amount of just mental vapidity is shocking. When I came across that, I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, Square Enix is like, yeah, we can't really find a profitable way to release our games that cost $300 million to make. We can't find a profitable way to release them exclusively on one platform. So we're going to open it up to other platforms. He's like, I am oppressed. It's just unreal. Unreal. It's so there's a term for people like this though. It's called being a Poe. And it goes back to something Poe's Law. So Poe's Law is an adage of internet culture which says that without a clear indicator of the author's intent, any parodic or sarcastic expression of extreme views can be taken or mistaken by some readers for sincere expression of the views. In other words, on the internet, especially on a place like Twitter, there's so many insane takes that you often cannot tell between the most extreme takes that are serious and the ones that are trying to parody those extreme takes, where you can't figure out if somebody's being serious or a troll because they seem so similar to each other. And we've all seen this, you know, this is a great example where somebody's like, you might be serious, because I've heard people talk like that seriously, or you might be trolling, but I can't tell the difference. And that's almost more frustrating that you can't tell, you know, that whether they're a troll or serious. Yeah. It's a whole thing. Do you have any big expectations for the new Batman Arkham game? Especially, we're going to see a world premiere next month. I don't have any expectations for the new Arkham game, unfortunately. I'm sure it'll be fine. You know, as far as VR games are concerned, but it's not going to probably amaze anybody. Where is it? Where did I put the original post? Did any of you guys follow that like Marvel Rivals thing that happened? I think it was mostly yesterday. Yeah, here it is. That's what I'm looking for. Let me show you. Let me show you guys this, because it's a little insane. Sad Kermit, thank you for the 2. Bro, what? Yeah, dude, for real. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The most insane thing I've seen in a while. But a little entertaining at least. So the story has kind of resolved itself a little bit, but I want to mention it. New segment. So just the other week, I think on Friday, I did that little segment where we talked about Ubisoft and sort of the process of reviews and paid like sponsorships and reviews, because somebody was like, oh, they're just going to pay for reviews to get good coverage of various games. And I you know, not just Ubisoft, but other companies as well. And the truth of the matter is that the FTC, like in the US at least, it is straight up illegal to pay somebody to make a review and then present it as a non-sponsored review saying something's great when you've actually been paid to say that it's great. I mean, you guys might remember the old school thing that happened with that CSGO lottery thing, the CSGO Lotto or whatever it was, where YouTubers that owned a website for like selling and trading and gambling for CSGO skins, they were directly profiting off of their promotion of the website, and they failed to disclose to everybody that they were actually owners and that they had a vested interest in it. FTC disclosures are nothing to mess with. Like, they're very, very serious. Doesn't mean that companies or creators won't sometimes break them, but usually they're very, very robust. The one example I did bring up of like where companies will pay you to just say word for word what they want you to say, and like you can't be critical or whatever. I've only ever seen it with like mobile games personally. I don't usually cover like live service games, so I don't usually get offers for those, but I've had companies reach out from all over the world that do like mobile games, and they want you to just talk about how it's the best game you've ever played. The characters are the coolest you've ever seen. Like things that are not true probably, but they need you to say these things word for word for word. And as a result of those, like I've never taken any of those deals. I have put into all of the contracts for all of the sponsored videos we do that I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say. And if anybody ever comes back and gives us pushback and is like, maybe Luke could calm down on how critical he was of this element of whatever he was talking about, we always say, nope, it's in the contract. I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say. And that's that. So we've always avoided this because these companies need the creators more than the creators need the companies. And so usually as a creator, if you just put your foot down and you're like, no, I'm going to say whatever I want to say, usually they crater pretty quickly. But something happened with Marvel Rivals just this past week that was pretty telling. Brandon Larned tweeted out, extremely disappointed in Marvel Rivals. Multiple creators asked for key codes to gain access to the playtest, which is going on this weekend, and are asked to sign a contract. The contract signs away your right to negatively review the game. Many streamers have signed it without reading, just to play. For one, I will not defend anybody who signs a contract and doesn't read it. At that point, you're just being a dumbass and you get what's coming to you. But that being said, this is wholly unacceptable for any creator to sign, much less for the company to even think is okay to ask the creator. This is a non-disparagement clause. A lot of them are not. I mean, there's potential that a lot of these will be made illegal even in the US. There's some big lawsuits and court cases coming up where it looks like non-disparagement clauses might actually get booted because it like inherently is toxic to a free economy to like work somewhere that's toxic and then not be allowed to talk about how toxic it was. It's really stupid. But anyway, as of right now, my understanding is that they're legal. But the content creator agrees not to make any public statements or engage in discussions that are detrimental to the reputation of the game. This includes, but is not limited to, making disparaging or satirical comments about any game-related material, such as game features, characters, or music, or engaging in malicious comparisons. What is a malicious comparison? With competitors, or belittling the gameplay or differences of Marvel Rivals, or providing subjective negative reviews of the game. In other words, if you sign this and you get access to the playtest, you're not allowed to say anything mean or critical. A lot of streamers signed this and then found out after the fact, because they didn't read it when they signed it, they found out that they weren't allowed to say anything critical of the game, which is insane. Like, yeah, you can't say, like, you can't compare it to Overwatch. You wouldn't be able to do this. Like, you can't engage in malicious comparisons with competitors. Yeah, so like you're saying in chat, you wouldn't be able to say like, yeah, I'm not sure if this is as good as Overwatch. That would violate this because it's a malicious comparison with a competitor. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Totally unacceptable. On the one hand, yes, the streamers should read what they're signing. And I understand the argument that's like, well, boo-hoo, the streamer signed the contract. It's their own damn fault. I get that, but this should never be in a contract to begin with. Like, the reason why they probably signed it without really reading through it is because they never even thought that this would ever be in a contract, because I've never seen a straight up written in non-disparagement agreement in contracts. Usually it'll be like, they'll say something like, you have to speak word for word like this about our mobile game. Monopoly Go is the greatest game I've ever played, and it's so addictive, and my friends all love it too, and every time I play it, I get an inch longer, whatever it is. But they won't necessarily say you're not allowed to say these things. Like, they might say like no profanity, no like grotesque something or other, stuff like that. But usually they don't just straight up have, I've never seen a non-disparagement in like bolded letters as an actual section. But people naturally reacted pretty negatively to this because they're like, how on earth does this work? Like, how is this allowed? What on earth? So Marvel Rivals, after a lot of blowback, posted this. Dear Marvel Rivals players, today is the third day of the closed alpha test, and we are truly grateful for all the love and support from the community. We would like to take this opportunity to address the concerns we've seen regarding the agreement terms of the content creator programs, and above all, we would like to apologize for any unpleasant experiences or doubts caused by the miscommunication of these terms. We're sorry. We're sorry. The Content Creator Program is a small-scale project that aims to aid in the production of incredible content by supporting creators through giving them more resources. We actively encourage creators to share their honest thoughts, suggestions, and criticisms as they play. All feedback, positive and negative, ultimately helps us craft the best experience for ourselves and the players. We sincerely apologize. We're sorry for the confusion, suspicion, and frustration caused by these excessively restrictive terms, and thank you for sharing with us. We cherish and appreciate every suggestion given by our players and always respect your feedback. We are currently working with the creators who have expressed these concerns and are revising the current version to be less restrictive and more creator-friendly. Thank you for bearing with us while we make these adjustments. We hope you're enjoying the game so far, and we are always open to hearing your sincere thoughts and ideas on how we can improve the game. The Marvel Rivals team. And then it's like somehow people are just like totally moving past it and forgiving them on it. I don't know why we're all just like moving on so quickly. The fact that they were looking to quell and squelch, that's a word, right? All critical feedback from anybody that signed the agreement is worrisome. It's very worrisome, and it honestly makes it so you probably shouldn't take seriously any ads or promotions or anything unless the creator, like, unless they do something where they put in the text of the offer and they're like straight up like, I'm allowed to say whatever I want, I can be critical, I can do it. Like, that's what they're gonna have to say now. It's why in our videos that we do that are sponsored, I say at the very beginning of the video, I'm like, I have clarified, I am allowed to say whatever I want to say, positive or negative, because that's the truth. And if it wasn't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And unless you see a creator that's willing to say or that says the same exact things, I wouldn't take any promotional stuff for that game seriously at all at this point. Like, it's best case scenario, they probably had lawyers draft that up, and the lawyers were like, yeah, well, we're promoting something, so we'll just say that you can't say anything disparaging, blah, 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 blah. And they just typed it up, and nobody really looked at it that closely. That still doesn't excuse it, but that would be the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that this was something that came from within their teams, and they said to the lawyers drafting the contracts, oh yeah, make sure that nothing critical can be said or done about the game because we don't want any critical feedback. It's something really common in mobile games that they just stomp down any critical feedback. Nothing like that can happen. But it's not usually something you see in the console space or PC space. It's much more rare there. And like I said, I've never seen a straight up bullet point of non-disparagement clause in contracts. Maybe I've just missed it. Maybe it is a common thing that I just haven't seen, but I've not seen that type of thing. And so it's right for people to be upset about it, I think. Let's see. To be honest, I'm not surprised. If you give keys to a magazine, you can almost be certain the game doesn't get too much criticism because they're afraid of getting blacklisted. Influencers do not have to be afraid of this since their income does not depend on early keys, so they're naturally a lot more critical and they're trying to get ahead of it. Yeah, so there is something where people will comment all the time on like reviews where, like, what was it? I think I did the Starfield review and I was like, it's fine for the first 20 hours and then it gets really, really boring. And somebody was like, wow, lol, Luke didn't get paid enough by Bethesda to do this, implying that like companies will pay for reviews. And that flatly is illegal and doesn't happen. Where I think people maybe are unintentionally right in pointing to it, is that I do think there are examples of creators that might be worried about losing access. So they're worried that if they get like a review code from the company, like a Ubisoft or a Xbox or PlayStation, whatever, and if they give negative feedback or if they critique something, that they will lose access to that company and to the review codes and stuff like that. And so for them, because they don't want to lose access to that, they kind of couch their opinions. It might be softer than they would be otherwise. And in my experience, there are companies that will do that. The example I've brought up is that we were getting all the review codes for PlayStation, and then I tore them a new one over The Last of Us Part 1 remake, and how I found that to be really, really lackluster as an offering, and for $70 as a full re-release, I thought it was just unacceptable. And so I brought that up, and all of a sudden my email started going to their spam folder. Really, really strange how that works. So there's examples where it can't be confirmed that like you're on a blacklist because you were less than positive, but it's like suspicious. It's weird. Other examples though that I've brought up is like not every publisher's like that. And I would encourage any creator out there that might see this or hear this, like don't think that you have to lie or couch your opinions just to keep access. I called Ubisoft's last Assassin's Creed game, well, last main Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I called it a travesty of open world design. I tore that game a new one over the course of a 3-hour critique. Okay, I found it to be extremely lacking, and I just have many, many problems with it. 3 hours worth of problems with it. I thought the game was really, really disappointingly bad. And I've made all these videos and I've talked about that extensively. And they still will send me review codes. They'll still reach out. I brought up that like the marketing team reached out to me when we hit 500,000 subs on the main channel and congratulated us. Like they're just very nice people, and they're like they have a company culture, amazingly enough, where they seemingly will take critical feedback and they're like, okay, well, we'll get you next time. We'll figure it out. And not every company has that. After I called Todd Howard evil for Fallout 76 because I just thought it was a straight up scam. Granted, BGS did not talk to me for like years. Starfield, they came out of nowhere and were willing to send me a review code, amazingly enough. But that one I understand a little bit more. But it's not actually the case that most companies will just blacklist you. A lot of these companies, got to remember, is that they're dealing with hundreds of developers or hundreds of like creators and reviewers, or even thousands. So you're just one on a spreadsheet that they are sending codes to. They're not going back through and like, okay, what did they give us? They give us a 6 out of 10. Okay, they're blacklisted. Cut them from the email address list. Okay, what did this person? An 8? Okay, they're good to stay on the list. Like nobody's really doing that. Okay, like nobody's really doing that. Yeah. Then why don't Ubisoft fix their approach? Well, I think they do shift and they do change a lot of things, but like one content, and I think that this is probably fair, one content creator's reviews should not change the course of a multi-billion-dollar company. Okay. I'm not so deluded to think that I deserve that level of reaction. You know, they might take my feedback, and I know for a fact that people that work on Assassin's Creed games, they watch the reviews of people, like they've watched Joraptor's reviews, they've watched my reviews of their games, and they take that feedback to heart and they try to work with it. But no content creator should think, well, in my review that got 200,000 views, I said this, so they should completely redesign how they do this. Like, no, you're one dude with an audience, but you're one dude. Why should they change their decades of experience to shift things around, you know? Yeah. Geronimo, hey Luke, I hear you while I'm doing the dishes. Love the channel. Keep it up. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, Norcat, they're French. Need we say any more? Reinhard, thank you for the 5. Crimson Desert will be again at Gamescom this year. They will be a demo. They will announce the release date Q1 of next year. Ooh, baby. Yeah, Crimson Desert's one of those that looks really, really good. I just keep waiting for the shoe to drop because it's one of those that looks too good to be true. And anytime something looks too good to be true, I get nervous. Because often, too good to be true is not a thing. Usually it's like, okay, well, there's some reason that it looks too good. Like there's got to be something else about it. But maybe it is just that good. Let's see. Hold on. Somebody sent me this video. What is this? Just saw Assassin's Creed Shadows Season Pass and Helix coin prices have been leaked. Article on Insider Gaming if you want to find it. Oh, wait. Hold on. That sounds funny. That sounds entertaining. Why isn't my keyboard working? There we go. Okay. New segment. This is probably one to get up ASAP, Jacob. Let's see. Let's see. A data miner has revealed several details on the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows, formerly AC Red, post-launch content. Interesting. If you missed it, they did just reveal the reveal time. So AC Shadows is dropping a cinematic trailer at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or is it 2 days from now? Hold on. Now I have to double check because now I'm worried that I've been. Hold on. Now I'm doubting myself. What was it? Was it tomorrow? Oh, Joe Raptor already has a leaked bit of the trailer. Damn it, Joe Raptor. How did you get that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'll show you guys in a second if you want to see it. He has like the first couple of seconds of the trailer. I don't know how he figured it out. No, it's on the 15th. I'm a liar. Oh, gosh. It's on the 15th. The morning of the 15th. Wow. I'm a liar. It's not tomorrow. It's that. It's the 15th. Okay. And then let me update it over here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is the first little tidbit. Let me show you. Plot twist, Jor is Ubisoft. Yeah. Oh, it's from Ubisoft, so it's not even technically a leak. It's from a dedicated website. Well, there you go. Look at that. I have no doubt it's going to be gorgeous. Like, I've heard and maybe seen some things of some of the engine upgrades they've done. I think it's going to be a real next-gen game, no doubt. But, yeah, that's a whole thing. I guess let's touch on these couple of little tidbits. Okay, now that I've done that. Let me start from the top with this segment, Jacob, because I'm losing my mind. Okay, so more information's coming out about Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is the up-and-coming game. It is the actual name of AC Red. It's no longer AC Red. That was just the code name. Now we know its official title will be Assassin's Creed Shadows. And as is posted here in this little email, you can see that there's an actual little preview of the probably opening shots of the trailer, or maybe closing shots of the trailer, and the full logo reveal and everything. It looks certainly mighty pretty. This is a cinematic trailer though, so it's not like actual in-game footage, but gives you a vibe, gives you a feeling of what you can expect. But a couple of other little tidbits have been confirmed in the last hour or so. For one, Assassin's Creed Shadows won't be on last-gen consoles. Thank God. According to multiple reports, including from a notable insider, Shinobi 602 AC Shadows won't release on PS4 or Xbox One. That means the game will be available only on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. It marks the first time since those consoles launched in 2013 that the latest Assassin's Creed game won't be available on the platform. Last year's AC Mirage released on all platforms aside from the Nintendo. My wife Nikki calls it Tinendo, just to troll me, and it's always a little funny but also a little aggravating. A Tinendo. I got a Tinendo Switch. The other place that AC Mirage is launching on, in case you missed it, is on iOS. And actually, we just saw footage of it at the Apple event the other day, because they released the new iPads or all this, and they show AC Mirage playing on the iPad. Which is insane that, like, this is running on a tablet, like a mobile tablet. But I mean, I guess we're also in the age of Apple Silicon and handheld computing and stuff. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys want to see a video of like us trying Mirage on the app or on the iPad or something? Is that a thing we should do? Because when I did try Resident Evil 4 on the iPhone. And that video did okay. I think people were like, "Ooh, that's kind of interesting and cool." And it actually runs surprisingly well, like shockingly well. And they announced this around the same time that they were going to bring Mirage to it as well, but it got delayed a tad. But apparently it's actually coming and it's going to be a thing. Yeah? Yeah, try it. Why not? Okay. We can do that. We can do that. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It can actually run like these current gen console games, which is wild. But so we'll do that. We'll work on that video. Beyond this, they confirmed that it's not coming to PS4 and Xbox One. The reason this is nice is just because it means that they can actually push the boundaries. And the main thing is with memory and memory management for data streaming and stuff, that is the difference between last gen and current gen. And so to have the ability to just fully build something for the current gen means that you can have things optimized much more, which is great. It also is pretty telling that Ubisoft has taken their time with it. If you remember back in 2014, the very first Assassin's Creed game on next gen hardware dropped. And it was not great. AC Unity dropped, and it was definitely rushed out. And their goal was to get like the first cutting edge game. And I mean, it still looks very good. The lighting engine is beautiful, but the game was freakishly buggy and just very, very broken for what it was. And it was unfortunate, but I think they learned their lesson that maybe they should not try to shove something out for current gen or new hardware before it's ready. And so they've really taken some time over the last few years to crank the engine and to make sure it's ready to go. And we saw late last year, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. That game, say what you will about it, I thought it was a fine game, not great. You know, it was good, but, you know, not bad, not great, just a good game. You know, solid like 7 or 8 out of 10, depending on whether you're a fan of the franchise and stuff like that. But that game is freakishly impressive visually and technologically. If you've not seen some of the like Digital Foundry stuff they've done on it, look at it. The tech in that game is outrageously impressive. But Ubisoft wanted to avoid this type of situation, which is why they've taken their time to prepare the engine for current hardware. And it seems like it's finally ready. And like I said, there's been rumors and hints and things of, and maybe even some leaks of what this game will look like. And it's quite impressive. Quite impressive. But the big news. AC Shadow Season Pass and DLC prices leak. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. A data miner has revealed. The data miner named Ubisoft Frax has outlined several new details and prices on the AC Shadows post-launch content. According to the data miner, Shadows will launch with at least 2 post-launch new expansions at $25 each, or you can buy the season pass for $40. Now, depending on the size of the expansions, That's less than I was expecting, honestly. Especially after games hiking to $70. I was expecting like a $50-$60 season pass, honestly. I was braced for that. So that's actually surprisingly low. I guess I've been braced for it to be really bad. And so when it's like, okay, it's kind of normal. The DLC for these games has been pretty varied. Valhalla was interesting because it had a ton of post-launch support, but that's because they didn't really have anything else for years. So that's probably not the best one to look at. Odyssey had some stuff. I thought the first DLC expansion they did where like you get a kid was a little weird. It was shorter, more narrative. And then they did the Atlantis DLC, which was just a trudge. But like, I just didn't think it was that great. AC Origins, I've said many times before, I am a freaking stan for Ancient Egypt, okay? That will skew my opinion every which way because I just love Ancient Egypt, okay? I want to be clear about my bias. I love Ancient Egypt. I've loved it since I was a kid. I just find it fascinating. So for me, AC Origins gets a couple of extra points just for that because I love it. The idea that I can climb up pyramids, dream come true. That being said, Origins, the Hidden Ones DLC was like super forgettable. I don't even really remember what you did in it. It was just like in one ear out the other. I just don't even remember. But the whatever it was, the Lost Pharaohs or something DLC that they did where you fight like Tutankhamun and a bunch of other, famous mummies and pharaohs. That was interesting and very visually striking and stunning. There were some really interesting set pieces and stuff in that. And I thought that was more fair. These DLC are never, and these expansions certainly are not designed for everybody. They're designed for the more hardcore fans. And they try to really explore the set pieces and the settings a little bit more there in a more niche way. And so I could see it appealing to a lot of people, but it's going to be much smaller than the groups of people that will buy it at launch, certainly. Curse of the Pharaohs. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, Curse of the Pharaohs. It was great. So, yeah, honestly, with all the rumors and stuff we've heard about egregious pricing and stuff, this is less than I was expecting. It's still $40 for a season pass for a single player game, but these are single player games that are designed to try and get you to play them for years. So that's their strategy, is to put a lot more content on it. Let's see. In addition to the post-launch content, the data miner has also revealed the prices for the upcoming Helix currency, which is the Assassin's Creed currency to purchase in-game items. And this is very, very standard. They've done this, I think, going all the way back to... What was the first Assassin's Creed game that did this? First AC game with Helix credits. I don't even know. What was was it Black Flag? I thought maybe it was... Oh no, first introduced in Unity. According to the Assassin's Creed wiki. First introduced in Unity. And basically, this is the currency you buy, and then you use this currency to unlock like the XP boost, or you use that currency to buy a special weapon or stuff. It's something they've done for ages at this point, a decade. So nothing really that new here. Yeah, you can see the different versions of it. And different games have it to different degrees in terms of potency. Syndicate, you could just straight up buy the most powerful like swords and weapons in the game, and it just broke the game. It was really, really sucky. If you did that for some reason, I don't feel that bad for you. Like, oh no, I spent money. I spent $50 on a extra large pack of Helix credits and I broke the game. It's like, yeah, well, good job. Origins, I don't remember. I never buy this stuff. So, and like when I review the game, I try not to touch any of this. The one time I had a problem was with Odyssey, because Odyssey, they gave me like the unlocked, like whatever super fancy edition with the review code. And with that came, like all of the DLC, everything that you could buy. They just unlocked all of it for you. And included in that was like the XP boost and the currency acquisition boost and all of that stuff. And at the time that it launched during the review period, there was no way to turn it off. So you couldn't turn off the XP boost if you wanted to turn it off for review. And I emailed them. I remember like, this is a bit of a problem. Like I need to turn this off. I want to play a version like without it. And I don't really remember the resolution. Maybe they gave me like a non-deluxe edition code or something like that to bypass it. But they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a problem. And it was a whole thing. But that's the only time I've ever run into problems with it. But other than that, I try not to touch the stuff during the review period just to get the vanilla experience of the game. But yeah, Helix credits have been a thing for ages. And as you can see, the pricing, $500 for $5, $10.50 for 10, $2,300 for 20, $4,200 for 35, or $6,600 for 50. It's currently unclear how AC Shadow's content will be priced in-game, but Insider Gaming understands that the currency will be used inside Infinity as well, the central hub for AC moving forward. Images sent to Insider Gaming show that cosmetic items can be purchased via earnable and purchasable currencies. This includes the likes of cosmetic changes to your clothing, weapons, and more. Yeah. Pretty much in line with what's been reported. Nothing like particularly shocking here. Prices are about in line with what we've seen with previous games. So it's not really the prices for the Helix credits you got to worry about. It's how much, or like how many Helix credits it takes to buy the items. Because if they're going to increase the cost, they could increase the cost of the Helix credits, you paying money for those, or they could increase the cost of the items you use the Helix credits on, which is probably where they would go. So it's unclear exactly whether, you know, it's going to be like $40 cosmetics or if it's like $5 cosmetics. Either way, it's just an unfortunate reality at this point of these games. But it's been a thing for a while. I mean, at this point, it's been a decade that they've had Helix credits in, and thankfully you don't have to ever touch them. But you know, in a perfect world, if I was the almighty Lord of Ubisoft, I would say, hey, can we just get rid of them and not do that? But they're going to do it. And the reason they do it is because there is a collection of players that do buy them and buy all the fancy whatever skins. And there's that, you know. Luke the Gamer, I'll take XP boosts. Games are a grind now for no reason. Destiny 2 is insane. Destiny 2, I would imagine, is specifically built to be a grind. My problem, and I mentioned this with Valhalla and then also with Odyssey, and Odyssey is a really good example of it, I feel. A lot of games that do this and that I find the most frustrating are balanced in a way where they are trying to push you into using the XP boost. And it all depends on how they balanced it. So ideally, you know, you play the game, and as you play the game, you gain power. And so this is like, you know, the total time. And then this axis would be like your power or maybe level, whatever. And so you'd hope that as you play the game, it's pretty much a straight line. Like the more time you spend playing the game, the more you gain power. Like pretty straightforward. The problem with the XP boosts is that it will either do this, where you start to accelerate, or, you know, it's an exponential thing, or it'll just be a flat increase of XP, whatever. Depends on how they calculate the XP boost and how they do that. But with that, either way, you're going to, after a certain period of time, be significantly more powerful than you should be at a certain level. And that means you can bypass content. Because in order to play for more time, there has to be more content. Now, that could just be grindy stuff. It could just be that all of this content that you're grinding for is like, you know, go and grind the same enemies or clear camps 15 times and that type of thing. That's just boring. That, sure, skip it. You won't miss much. But with like AC Odyssey, it was all based on side quests and stuff. And so if you use the XP boost, you just didn't have to play the side quests, which were actually pretty good. Because all the side quests in Odyssey had stories associated with them. That was their big design philosophy for that game, is that they wanted every side quest to have a story. And it worked pretty well. I still remember some of the side quests that you do, like with the Supidio guy, which is a play on Oedipus and that story. I talked about that in my video, like the Assassin's Creed Odyssey did something incredible video. And, you know, it's a fascinating little side quest where, like, I won't spoil it. You know what? I won't spoil it. In case you haven't seen it, go look up that quest. It's fantastic because there's a whole thing with the dad and the mom. It's great. But if you're using the XP boost, you just won't ever get to experience that. You might just skip over it because you don't need it. You're too powerful. You don't need the XP for it. And the problem is when the game is balanced around it. So if the game was balanced initially around you having the XP boost, what's going to happen, you know, if we have the axes here, if they balanced it around you spending the money, then the straight line becomes this. And then if you didn't spend the money, your experience is actually going to be more like that. So the experience they meant for you to have, and the intentioned one, and the one that's the most balanced, was built like this, with this line. And if you don't have it, you're going to have a worse time because it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer to reach the same power level to finish the game and to do what you need to do to wrap it up. And that's kind of where Odyssey and Valhalla certainly landed, is that you had to do a lot of grind and just chasing down, you know, different encampments and clearing bases, whatever, in order to actually accomplish what you needed to do to finish the game, which just kind of sucked. So how they balance it is going to be crucial, and it's going to be pretty telling, I would imagine, pretty quickly. Usually after like 5 hours or so, you start to get a feeling for how it works, but yeah. Yeah. If people crap on Odyssey for leveling slow, if not doing side quests, then so should they crap on Witcher and Dragon Age, or basically every RPG. Well, it's all, I mean, it's the dose that makes the poison, right? It just depends on how much there is. For some people, like for Valhalla, for example, I felt after playing that game a lot and finishing it, I felt that there was too much grind to get to the end of the story. And it started to feel, especially later in the game, that there were just more areas and more areas, even though like we could probably wrap up this story and this could probably resolve itself. It just felt like there was, okay, there's another area I got to go and clear. Okay, there's another little siege I need to do. And it was just, it was very fatiguing by the end of it. With Odyssey, I think Odyssey's content was significantly better than Valhalla's. So grinding in Odyssey didn't feel as bad as grinding in Valhalla. And I think that's kind of the key point, is like, if the game is fun or if the content's good, grind can be perfectly fine. Like if, like, oh no, boo-hoo, woe is me, I have to grind good content. That's not a problem. It's like it's pretty much what games are, is grinding quality content. That's what they should be. The problem is when you have to grind bad content or boring, repetitive content. Like if you've got a grind in Starfield going to 500 planets and discovering 500 planets, you're just going to be sitting through load screens all day and it's going to be bad. But if it's like, okay, grind, I don't know, in like Elden Ring, you need to grind all the runes to gain power to be able to take on the end game bosses. Well, you're doing that by fighting lower level bosses and by exploring and discovering new cool things and finding new equipment and gear and stuff. And that leads to fun. And so even though you're grinding, you don't even really realize that you're grinding, you know? Valhalla was a Witcher 3 clone. I would say Odyssey was trying to be a Witcher 3 clone, but Valhalla was trying to do its own thing and kind of, in my opinion, failed. But Odyssey, if you like The Witcher 3, I think you will unironically like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And the game is massive. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. You know, that's one, and we've seen it in the last few years. We've seen sort of a renaissance of people going back and trying that game for the first time and being like, holy crap, why did I not try this at launch? Because it really is good. Like, there's a reason it was nominated for Game of the Year by journalists who like to also bash on Ubisoft. Like, that game is actually very, very impressive. And yeah, it gets kind of sluggish and slow later in the game, but I think it's really, really impressive in many ways, but Let's see what else. I had something pulled up I wanted to show you before I forgot about it. Oh, this. With all the news recently, I just kept thinking back to this bit in episode 27 of Double Fine Psycho Odyssey, the excellent making of documentary for Psychonauts 2, where Matt Booty tries to reassure the team post-acquisition and in the process says all the wrong things. I've not seen this. Let's see what he says. Matt Booty is the head of Xbox Studios. This is like the head honcho guy. And apparently here he's talking to the team and encouraging them that everything will be fine after they just got acquired by Microsoft.
I am here to tell you, and I will say, that our goal is to change as absolutely little about this studio as possible. One of the things, and then we can just open it up to questions, but I just want to address one thing because it kept coming up. I was surprised to hear how much the moonlighting topic came up. So I wanted to just address that one head on.
Even though most of our concerns, because we are a creativity first company, there's questions about ownership. A lot of people have side creative things they do. They write children's books or play in bands or something, and they want to make sure that will be able to continue under Microsoft.
Where the moonlighting only really starts to be something that we even really need to have a conversation about is if you are making something that directly competes or conflicts with what happens here. And that really is going to boil down to making a game.
It's just that the thing is, it's like corporations like Microsoft always have the advantage. Because I've seen this happen to friends of mine who have released games, and this has happened, and then the company has gone after them, and they were like, even though they had a nice little handshake agreement, they still ended up having to pay that company.
So if you really want to go run a startup, quit and go run a startup, right? And so I'm not trying to chase anybody away. That's not trying to be harsh language. But if you work on something and suddenly it starts to pick up traction and you're like, hey, this thing is going big, I think you've got a choice as a person to make. The reality is that once something is kind of in these walls, Double Fine owns it, right?
Where that comes to conflict a little bit is where we do this Amnesia Fortnite pitch.
Yep.
And we have always, as a company, said that we don't own the ideas until we actually produce them in the Amnesia Fortnite game jam. But before people submit them, they work on them in their own time, on their own computers, and they do, at some point, tell the ideas. And a lot of them don't get selected, and we've always maintained that we don't own those.
Yeah, we're going to have to sort through that.
Interesting. So basically what they're discussing is whether they retain the rights to their intellectual property or if Microsoft will get their hands on it. Because what will happen at a lot of these companies is that the company owns your work. You know, this is a common complaint among creative types, for example, is like if you do concept art or music production or you make videos or films or whatever at a company and then you leave that company, the company still owns your work. You know, the work and the listing brochures and all the stuff I did when I worked in commercial real estate, that's owned by the company that I worked for. It's not owned by me. Even though I built it, even though I did that stuff and I made those presentations and stuff, it's not me. It's owned by the company. And in creative spaces especially, this gets really tricky because these are creative types. Like when they go into a conference meeting and they say, okay, give us pitches for what our next game should be. These guys all come in, they're like, ooh, what if we made a game about a pair of gaming headphones that's in search of a new owner and just wants to know what it is to play games themselves. And so they go through all these realms of digital entertainment, whatever it is, whatever the stupid idea is, you know, as that one clearly is quite stupid. Or if it's like, oh, what if we did a game where you, like in the world of Elf in that movie where he's like, what if we made a game where you live on a farm and you're a family of asparagus and you're all really self-conscious about the way your pee smells? What if we did something like that? All these ideas get thrown out and they'll probably only pick one to make the next game out of, you know, they'll pick one of those ideas. And maybe because you came up with the idea, you get a promotion to help work on the game. What they're particularly concerned about is that they throw out these pitches. If they decide at one point, no, I really believe this is going to be a good idea, and they go start their own startup, they're wondering if Microsoft will own the rights to that idea they pitched in that meeting. Because it was an idea pitched within the walls, and that's Matt Booty's description, is if it is brought in these walls, it's owned by the company. And his answer is, yeah, we'll have to talk about it.
Double Fine owns it, right?
Where that comes to conflict a little bit is where we do this Amnesia Fortnite pitch.
Yep.
And we have always, as a company, said that we don't own the ideas until we actually produce them in the Amnesia Fortnite game jam. But before people submit them, they work on them in their own time, on their own computers, and they do, at some point, tell the ideas. And a lot of them don't get selected, and we've always maintained that we don't own those.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sort through that, because I don't know, someday down the road, we might want to go back and say, ha, that was a great idea, you know, we should go make that game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is something we have to figure out, because we're doing...
Those looks say a lot. Those looks say a lot. Now, here's the deal. Like, I understand both sides. The creatives think that if they throw out an idea and it's not bitten at, that they should be allowed to go and like start their own studio if they really think it has potential and make their own game. Just because they threw it out as a pitch does not mean that they should lose access to that idea, or that now it's owned by the company they work for because they had an idea that they vocalized. I get that. At the same time, Guerrilla Games, for example, has described this. When they did a sort of self-discovery thing in the lead up to the creation of Horizon Zero Dawn, they had a bunch of ideas pitched for games, some of which they really thought had potential, but that they didn't pick. They picked the one for Horizon, and then they were going to go revisit those ideas at a later date and maybe make a game out of them. Guerrilla, in that case, owns those game pitches. Guerrilla can make those games, even if the original person who pitched that idea no longer works there. And that's because they pay you. They pay you to work there. They pay you to pitch the ideas. And if you do that, then that's a whole, you know, they get access to it. So I can see the idea from both of these perspectives. But I think the biggest problem, and I think Powdered Toast Man brings it up in YouTube chat, the core problem is that it incentivizes, or rather disincentivizes people to bring their best ideas. Because if they think that, like, I mean, put yourself in their shoes. They're sitting in a meeting like this, and you've got an idea that's you're like, this is $1 million game idea. This could be amazing. But if I bring it up in this meeting and they don't make it into a game, I can never do anything with it. Your best ideas, you're probably going to keep to yourself, right? Especially if you're like, oh, maybe we go over here. Maybe we do something over here. Maybe we make our own little studio and we figure it out. You know, you're going to put that muzzle on yourself to not bring your best foot forward because you're scared that it's just going to be taken from you. And that's not a great way to foster a creative environment, which is exactly what this guy, the head honcho, is describing. He's like, the policy has always been that those are your ideas. And unless we make something, it's still your idea. So yeah, pitch your best idea. And if we bite on it and we turn it into a game, great, the company will then own it. But if we hear an amazing idea and we don't bite at it, it's still your idea. You own the right to your idea. And I think that that's because he understands how to work with creatives. Matt Booty understands how to run a corporation where the corporation owns your work, because that's how corporations work. So I see both sides of it, but this is the core problem with trying to run a creative company the way you run like a software tech company. If a software engineer designs a really cool system in Windows 11 that optimizes performance and makes it so decoding video is done at a, you know, maybe a 10% reduction in computational resources, that's a really cool thing. But the software engineer that designed that does not own that work. They cannot then take that code and sell it to another company or take it to Apple and sell it to Apple. It's owned by Microsoft if he was employed by Microsoft. And that's how Microsoft operates. But with creative types, you can't really do that type of thing. You just can't stifle creativity in that way and expect things to continue working the same way.
Get selected, and we've always maintained that we don't own those.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sort through that, because I don't know, someday down the road, we might want to go back and say, ha, that was a great idea, you know, we should go make that game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is something we have to figure out, because we're doing that process right now, and people are already pitching based on that promise that I already made.
Yeah.
That we don't own it.
That's great. No.
Because that's what we've done for years.
So, yeah. And I'm not out, like, anything that you've done like that, we'll honor that, right? But I would say that before you do the next one, we got to clean that up a little bit, because it's a messy boundary, right?
But this is how you end up with creativity being stifled. This is This is where you get into a problem. I see you guys mentioning everybody looks like they don't want to be there, like they're gonna cry. I mean, for one, we've all been in meetings like this where it's like there's a new boss in town and you don't know them, you don't respect them at that point. There's somebody coming into your home turf, and you're like, why are you here? Like, I remember back when I worked at Best Buy, at one point there was a new manager that came in, like a new sales manager that came in, and I'm sure they were very qualified. They came from another store, and they knew what they were doing, but we didn't know them. They hadn't earned our respect, and everybody had this kind of reaction to them because they were like, they're coming in here changing a lot of stuff. Their whole thing was like they put out. This is the most toxic thing ever. Okay, we worked in retail. They didn't like the idea that employees were talking to each other because they thought it looked unprofessional. So they actually took out like masking tape, and they taped out zones across the sales floor. I kind of forgot about this, dude. This is making me angry just thinking about it. But they taped out zones. So if you, like, I worked on like the Sony pad is what we called it. So I sold Sony TVs, and then over here was like the Samsung pad, Samsung, and then over here is the LG pad. And these just are, little areas that have the company's TVs and products on them, right? And so what they did is they came in, and this new boss came in, and he taped on the floor like boxes. And he said that only one employee was allowed in each box at a time. And if he saw two employees in the same box, he was gonna like yell at you to get back to your spot. Like we were animals in cages. I forgot about this, dude. But yeah, he did this because he didn't like that maybe the Sony guy, me, would go over and ask the Samsung guy, hey, this customer has a very unique situation that I think you're going to be able to help them with more. So why don't you help him out? He didn't like that because that's usually what we'd be talking about. He thought, oh, if they're ever in the same area, they're just like dicking around and wasting time. So never leave your little box. And then shocker, a lot of people ended up quitting and leaving because they were like, I think within like 3 months, Mike from Samsung had left, David from LG had left, and then I had left the Sony pad and went over to Magnolia Home Theater, which was in a different part of the store, selling luxury stuff. So I didn't have to deal with that manager. But like, this is just what happens is a new guy comes in, they have fresh ideas. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad, but either way, you don't respect them. You don't respect it. Did the boss leave? No, I mean, the boss, they hired a new group of young guys, and those new people did what they were told and just did it, It's reported that John Carmack did the same thing at id Software during the Doom times. I got my eyes on you. He put his desk in the hallway to see the employees when they would come and go. Oh, I've mentioned also when I worked in real estate, like the boss, the guy that owned the company, he would show up to work at like 10, 11 a.m. and then he would walk the halls at like 7 p.m. because he showed up late, and then he would stay, regular work day. But for us, it was like 3 hours later than a full work day. And it was understood if you wanted to stand a chance of like getting promotions or doing well, you needed to be there when he did his walks. So it wasn't a stated thing, but if you weren't there, you weren't going to last very long at the company. So you were basically forced to stay at like 3 hours late or 2 hours late or however long, he was staying till 7 or 8 p.m. And then he'd walk through, see who was still at their desks, and then he'd go home. And for him, he just wanted to see who were the go-getters is how it was usually phrased. But it was a really passive aggressive and toxic way of forcing people to work more. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. As I tell these stories, I'm starting to realize like, wow, hold on. Maybe I worked in some really dysfunctional places. I'm having the realization. It's like, oh God. So yeah, I think that this is a very, very normal reaction, certainly to an acquisition. But this is a place of creative types who have done things a very particular way for a long time. And this guy has harbored a very creative atmosphere that's been very, very positive and good. And I mean, you can tell it in their games. Double Fine games are some of the wackiest, most creative ever. And you can tell that they have a very open and free culture. And then a guy comes in who is going to start running it like a $3 trillion corporation. And it's jarring. It's very, very jarring. Absolutely. Who wants to be a go-getter at Best Buy? Oh no, the go-getter thing was at in the commercial real estate job that I had. And it was very, I mean, if you were successful at that company, you would make stupid amounts of money. But you had to basically sacrifice your life for like 3, 4, 5 years before you could get there. It was a lot. This post from Tom Warren, I think, is accurate to all of this, though. This whole, it's no longer Xbox, but Microsoft gaming stuff is question marks. It's been like that for 2 years and was announced at the same time as the ABK acquisition. Microsoft didn't spend $68 billion on Activision Blizzard King just for Xbox, and Nadella made that clear before. Then he has a little clip here that I'll just play, and then we'll talk about what's said.
Asks about the health and future of Xbox. Satya, could you give an update on our gaming business?
Yeah, we're very, very excited about everything that's going on in gaming, especially with the close of Activision, Blizzard, and King. We think that now we have the ability to really do what we always set out to do, which is build great games and deliver them to folks across all platforms, right? Which is Xbox or and consoles, the PCs, and now even including mobile gaming and cloud gaming. So we're excited about the future. We want to do our very best work in gaming. It's a core business for us. But also, I see tremendous synergy between what we're doing up and down the AI stack. I always say Microsoft's not a conglomerate. We have one platform that we express through multiple different addressable markets, and gaming is one. So when I think about AI, what we're doing at the infrastructure layer or what we will do at the edge, it's sort of the same set of transistors that first were used for graphics. Guess what? Are being used for AI. So you can connect the dots and see why gaming is going to be more strategic to us.
It's all connected. It's all connected, man. It's all connected. So he sounds different than you might have expected, right? People are always, for whatever reason, people are always surprised by Satya's voice. Yeah, I mean, this guy, again, I will never ask you to ignore the fact that this guy is a wizard of business. You do not get to the point where you are running a $3 trillion company by accident or without being qualified. He knows what he's doing. This guy, love him or hate him, is freaking brilliant. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start to see the broader plans and moves that are being made. Investments into the gaming business and infrastructure certainly makes sense. Right now in the industry, especially within the tech space, there's a lot of fighting over limited supplies. So, let me see. So like one of the biggest examples is the chips that are necessary for AI computing within like the server space. So NVIDIA kind of are the kings of this right now. They own pretty much all of it. They have the standards for it. What is the name of that? It's the H100 chip, I believe. Yeah. The H100 Tensor Core chip. This thing, you've probably not heard of it, but it is unbelievably powerful, very specifically for AI use cases. And in order to get some of these, you have to be on the enterprise level. Like you have to be buying hundreds, thousands of these things. Like you just have to be buying so many of them to be put in the high priority list. But this chip is basically required. I mean, there was a story recently where yeah, there was a story recently where I think it was Tesla. They were saying one of the reasons they've been able to hire so many AI engineers is specifically because they own like a couple of hundred of these H100 chips and systems. And that was enough for like these data engineers to want to go over and work with them because these chips are so hard to come by and so expensive and difficult to find. But the way that you get these is by being a big enterprise like a Microsoft and ordering many of them for many hundreds or even billions, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And so if you can find ways as a big corporation to align your goals in a way that is beneficial, maybe you partner with NVIDIA for all of these things. Maybe you partner with TSMC to manufacture other chips, or you partner with other hardware manufacturers like IBM or somebody. And then you try to align all of your businesses into individual columns or tranches, and then you can make sure that all of the assets and like teams are being utilized in ways that are congruent. That's the ultimate goal, because it'll just be an efficient system that's all feeding back into itself. But it's difficult, I think, to align this. Yeah, this guy, so Passing Through Nerd, I really like what SkillUp said in his recent video about how instead Microsoft changing Activision changed Microsoft. I don't know who dictate the buyout of ABK. Buying ABK was the worst decision in the creative sides of Xbox. Yeah, that's probably true. ABK is a giant acquisition, and Microsoft are rightly going after opportunities beyond Xbox, which is a small part of the overall gaming market. I mean, they've said, one of the things that Satya himself has said is that one of the key players and one of the key reasons why they bought ABK was not because of the A, not because of the B, but because of the K. And it's because King, as a gaming behemoth, is outrageous. I mean, they make stupid amounts of money. I mean, they literally bring in billions of dollars annually. And all they do is like Candy Crush, just mobile games. And so, and when you look at like gaming market revenues, the pie charts on this are pretty clear. Like, yeah, online gaming is ridiculously huge, but also where's the split for like mobile? I know. Well, one of the graphs we pulled up on Friday, it's like over 50% of the revenue in the global gaming market is from mobile devices. So King is probably worth more to Microsoft than anything else. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, Blizzard and Activision were the cherry on top of the pie. But that's why during like the PlayStation resistance to the acquisition, because they were freaking out over Call of Duty and stuff, Microsoft was kind of like, that's cute that you guys are worried about that. Yeah, for us, Call of Duty is like a fun little bonus. King is where the real money lies. Like, that's where they're really going to be blowing it up. And now we're seeing stuff where like they announced that they are working on their own Microsoft mobile store. They're going to be doing that. They're going to try to go head to head with the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. That's where the billions and billions of dollars are. Like that's where it really sits. Yeah, Microsoft doesn't spend 70 billion just for gaming. It's a larger play to open mobile ecosystems. Yeah. No, it's appealing to if they can own the games, they can get people to download the store for the games, and then they can start selling apps more generally, like requiring you to have that Microsoft mobile store for Microsoft Word, for PowerPoint, Microsoft Teams that are used in many, many different companies. So just there, they get that app on everybody's devices, and then they can start distributing other software, and then maybe you buy other games, and each time you buy the game, you are spending $1 and they get 30% of that. Like, it all just floods down. It all spills down. So it's going to be interesting. So you're saying Go Off King will be in a Microsoft commercial, Luke? Without a doubt, yes. Microsoft tried mobile 3 times already. Wonder how it'll work this time for them. Well, as long as they're not doing a physical device, they should be fine. that was one of the big oopsies they made. Hold on. This is a video of Chat GPT. They just revealed like the new version. Let's see. OpenAI. Say hello to ChatGPT 4.0, our new flagship model, which can reason across audio, vision, and text in real time. Let's see.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, it's going great. How about you? I see you're rocking an OpenAI hoodie. Nice choice. What's up with that ceiling though? Are you in a cool industry style office or something?
Well, can you take a guess at what I might be doing based on what I'm showing you here?
From what I can see, it looks like you're in some kind of recording or production setup. With those lights, tripods, and possibly a mic, it seems like you might be gearing up to shoot a video or maybe even a live stream.
Yeah. In fact, we've got a new announcement to make.
That's exciting. Announcements are always a big deal. Judging by the setup, it looks like it's going to be quite the professional production. Is this announcement related to OpenAI, perhaps?
It is. And in fact, what if I were to say that you're related to the announcement, or that you are the announcement?
Me? The announcement is about me? Well, color me intrigued. Are you about to reveal something about AI? Or more specifically about me as a part of OpenAI? You've got me on the edge of my, well, I don't really have a seat, but you get the idea. What's the big news?
Yeah, we've got a new model that can interact with the world through audio, vision, and text.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I don't buy it. That's his mom on the other end. Uh-oh. Oh, the world's ending. Oh. It's over, guys. Go home. We're all screwed. That's it. That's it. We're done. You're done. You're done. That's crazy. That is crazy. It's very conversational. Plus, users will get up to 5x higher limits and earliest access to features like our new macOS desktop app and next generation voice and video capabilities. Oh, so they have a desktop app on Mac? Oh, wow. So they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That is outrageous. The other thing to watch out for with AI stuff, apparently, is that Apple is expected in June at their Worldwide Developer Conference. They're going to be revealing like a flood of new AI stuff that they're doing. So they're revamping Siri and all that. And this is like the craziest thing for me is Siri. I remember when Siri was announced, everybody was like, wow, a virtual assistant you can talk to, just have a conversation with. That's wild. And it was really exciting. But now Siri is like totally useless. Like Siri, sorry, can like occasionally set a reminder for you or like maybe text somebody back, but like the voice to text on iPhone is terrible, especially compared to Android. Like with the Google keyboard, it's really, really bad. So they've just been like sitting and spinning for ages, doing like basically nothing with Siri. And apparently this June, in the next few weeks, they're going to be revealing like a pretty significant leap forward with all of Apple's AI stuff because they've been hiring like crazy for AI. So I'm hopeful that they actually make some pretty significant steps, because right now ChatGPT is like what Siri always wanted to be. And if you could get a ChatGPT type of program running natively on the device, like integrated with the OS, that could be pretty impressive. That could be pretty cool. Real quick, Logan, thank you for the 2. We are 2 steps away from the movie Her, dude, for real. So what happens if you pitch a game through a Zoom call? Oh, about the, I'm sorry, this must have been, I gotta figure out why our alerts aren't working. I don't know why they're not. Thank you for the super chat, Bender the Offender. I also love that name. So what happens if you pitch a game through a Zoom call? If it was a business call, they definitely own it. They definitely own it. Bender the Offender, also thank you for the 5. I'm of the opinion that more people would rather buy remakes of the Ezio trilogy with updated features and graphics. More people would buy that than like Assassin's Creed Shadow? I don't think so. I think the biggest fallacy that can be made by the average gamer that like watches my videos is that people sleep on the casual Assassin's Creed fan base. It is ridiculously massive. They were able to justify doing like 2 years of post-launch support for AC Valhalla. And like Joe Raptor said on the podcast last week, he was still getting hundreds of thousands of views on the best weapons in AC Valhalla, whatever, like just a few months ago. So there's still many people playing those games years after launch. It's crazy, but it's true. Like those games are massive and people just don't realize how big they are. Specifically these open world adventure RPG ones, like they're massive. They're crazy. Phantom, let's see. Oh wait, also Logan, thank you for the 2 push boundaries on a Series S. Yeah, good luck. Logan, also, I hate Ubisoft, but they make damn good trailers. They do always have really good cinematic trailers. And Phantom Spaceman, thank you for the 5. What are your thoughts on Arby's Chardonnay? Wow, that was the most American thing I've ever said. Chardonnay. What are your thoughts on Arby's Chardonnay sauce and Costco's street corn dip for scoopable Tostitos chips? I'm a total stan for scoopable Tostitos chips. I've not tried the Costco sweet corn dip, so I'll have to try that. I go for like the habanero salsa or the restaurant grade salsa. Tostitos also very good. And then Arby's Chardonnay sauce. I had no idea they had a Chardonnay sauce. Knowing Arby's, even if the sauce is really good, it'll probably make me a Chardonnay in my pants on the way home, but it might be worth it because I do love me some Arby's. I do love it. Yeah. I do love it. Habanero salsa slaps, dude. You're like for real, dude. I go hard for habanero salsa. And like I used to not be able to handle it, and then one day, like right out of high school, I was like, I've had enough. I need to get better at eating salsa. That scared the crap out of me. I pressed the video and it started playing the audio again. But I go hard for salsa now, but I had to train myself. And so I remember going to like our King Supers, our little grocery store, and going in and I got the one jar of salsa that was like mild, and then I got the restaurant, and then I got the medium, and then I got the hot, and then I got the habanero. And I worked my way through the different like jars until I finished them over the course of like a week or two. And I just trained myself to handle the hot salsa because I was like, I want to be able to eat hot salsa. So I had to train myself there. It was a whole thing. Okay. Let's go here. Have you tried the hot one sauces? No, I did go, like, you know, you go to Buffalo Wild Wings and you can ask them for the whatever hottest sauce that they have. I did do that, and we just got one, and I took a bite of it. So I had probably like half of the boneless wing with the hottest Buffalo Wild Wing sauce. And it wasn't even like hot sauce. It was just pain. It was like eating acid and fire. Like it wasn't even tasty. A good spicy habanero salsa or something has flavor, you know? Like it actually has a flavor, but this other salsa just doesn't. Like it's garbage. Garbage. I was trying to figure out what the sound was outside. They're aerating the lawn. That's what it is. Yeah, the Baskin Robbins of chicken places. Yeah. The pain is the flavor. It's not for me, dude. Not for me. I'll tell you what. Let's see. What else do we got? Okay, we'll touch on these two. Just so you see this. We need to get Luke on hot ones. Dude, I feel like I'd do well for the first 3, and then the rest I would just be on the floor dying. I'd be like Bobby Lee when he crapped himself on the show. Best sauce or dip for scoopables? Get yourself a really good refried bean dip, and then on the side do like a really hot habanero salsa or something. You got to do both. Meatloaf Mondays. Don't tempt me. That sounds fantastic. Okay. Real quick, just to show you this, Tom's, aka Henry's, last lines are in the box. 508 recording hours in 127 sessions. The road to release continues. So they are officially done recording all of Henry's lines. 508 hours of recordings. That's wild, dude. I asked, what else do you know about the captain? They did it. They did the thing. They did the thing. It's happening. So just a little feel-good stuff for you. In other news, let's see. News segment. Because my voice is starting to go out, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long I have. Let's see this. This story might just be like really, really stupid because it might just be people being stupid. But let's see. Let's give it a shot. Last of Us fans concerned about leaked season 2 set shots. I don't know about these. I've not read this article, but typically these are like really, really dumb concerns. So let's see what people are worried about. Recently, some sneaky images from the set of The Last of Us Season 2 were revealed online, drawing immediate concern from the franchise's fan base. In these leaked shots, we see Bella Ramsey's in the character as Ellie, the co-lead character in the series, alongside Pedro Pascal's Joel. The concern comes from the fact that Bella Ramsey hasn't aged up enough to realistically portray Ellie as she exists in The Last of Us Part 2, given that substantial time jump from her being 14 to 19 between the two games. That's a problem. Bella Ramsey naturally looks very young for her age. She's 20, and she was relatively perfect in the first season of the show, which was so good it picked up a few Emmy Awards and a BAFTA. However, her youthful visage is proving to be a letdown for some fans eager to see how the second season of the show will unfold. I mean, yeah, some people wanted her to be recast. Some people wanted, like, I don't know. That to me is a little bit of a stretch, like full recasting. But I mean, these are the pictures they're showing. And they're saying like that it's unacceptable that she doesn't look older. I have a few problems with being upset about this. For one, it's a set photo. You don't even know if she's in like whatever makeup or costumes or whatever else that they have planned for her. Secondly, this is far from a high quality image to tell you what she would actually look like on camera. 3, it's just like it. People were upset that she was cast from the outset. They felt like she didn't look enough like Ellie from the games, that it wasn't a good fit, whatever. You see people, still one of the biggest miscastings of all time. You're free to think that, but the audience clearly didn't really care. Didn't really care. And at the end of the day, like if she doesn't look 19 in the show, if she doesn't look significantly older, will that mean that the season will be bad? No. And like, honestly, I think recasting her would be way more jarring than her looking a little bit younger than 19. You know, everybody's like, well, but if she doesn't look fully 19, even though she's actually 20 years old, if she doesn't look 19 to what I think is 19 years old, I'll be pulled out of the immersion and I won't be able to enjoy the season. It's like, so your solution is to recast it with somebody totally different and that will be less jarring for you? Okay. I think that you're probably just like trying to find something to be upset about. You know? It also gets really weird when like adult men are complaining that she doesn't. They're like, well, she doesn't look quite 19. She looked really good when she was 14, but now it like starts to get weird. It starts to get really weird. You probably already talked about it, but it looks like that leaked screenshot is real if UB is going with the same logo. Yeah, no. Oh, you mean the one with like the on the computer desktop or something? Yeah, it might have been real. It might have been real. I don't know, but it very well could have been real. It would be jarring, but I would prefer it if she was recast. I honestly did not find her bad or like dreadful. Like, what was one of the really bad miscastings? What's a really bad miscasting that's happened that like everybody is on the same page about? I'm trying to think movie wise. What's a really devastatingly bad miscasting? Dwayne The Rock in anything? Chris Pratt as Mario. Jared Leto as Joker. Oh yeah, a lot of people are upset about that. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Mark Wahlberg as Sully in Uncharted. That's a good one. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Oh, that's a good one. Any of the mages in the Netflix Witcher show. Van Damme as Guile in Street Fighter. Jake Gyllenhaal as Prince of Persia. Dude, I forgot Jake Gyllenhaal did that. That's funny. Master Chief in the Halo show. Yeah. Okay. Vin Diesel as Vin Diesel. Yeah, that's a really good one. I don't know. Like, I think there's some really good ones there. Let's see. Oh, I hope you have a nice day too. I just did Google Translate. And it's French. I hope you have a nice day, Luke. I hope you have a nice day too. I hope you have a nice day too. Tilda Swinton as the Ancient. Oh yeah, that was kind of jarring. I don't know. So there's a lot of good examples, but like I don't think Ellie as portrayed by Bella is anywhere near that bad. Like for any of those. Like some of those Jared Leto, you saw it and immediately it was like, you sure about that? And then you saw the final performance and it was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But in the case of the Last of Us show, I think most people, I'm sure there's some people out there that were not super into it, but I think most people saw the show and were generally really impressed with how it all came together. Maybe some little things that would be changed here and there, but all told, I think they all did a great job. And I'm somebody that was not really a firm believer in Bella Ramsey. I was like, really? Does she have like the grit? She seems like too much. She seemed too innocent to me. But I thought she did a good job in the final show, and it all came together really, really well. So I'm confident the same group of people's doing this season, and I'm sure that they're going to do a pretty good job. Affleck as Batman was tough though, because like he did not have hardly anything to work with, like that. It was a tough spot to be in, because he was handed a plate of garbage and then like, okay, figure it out, do something amazing. So I don't buy the outrage. I don't really buy the outrage. Okay. Can't wait to see Brock Lesnar reprising his role as Abby with the golf club. Pedro gonna visit a certain city before that golf course. Oh my god. Oh, I guess I should mention this. Let's see. Creators blaming Sarah Bond for the Xbox studio closures are really, really bad at their job. She's not responsible for any on the game studio side. Yeah, no, and this is like that interview we saw with Sarah Bond last week that we looked at. Because the interview was like laughably bad because she doesn't answer anything. And she's even given outs where it's like you could defer to Max Booty, who runs the studios, or Phil Spencer, who's the head honcho. She's apparently not. She's the president, and she handles a lot of like hardware stuff, and it's just not her bread and butter. She doesn't handle the studios directly. So to be upset with her over the closures is a little silly. The reason people were pointing at Sarah Bond and frustrated with her is because she had a chance to clearly answer these questions, and I would say not even skillfully dodged all of the questions, like didn't answer a damn thing. And it's pretty standard for corporate answers, like not much gets clearly addressed, so we shouldn't be that surprised. But she didn't even sort of answer the questions, you know. So I agree it would be silly to blame Sarah Bond for the studio closures. That's stupid. But I do think it's fair to bring up that she, as the president of Xbox, should be able to at least answer why they were closed when they put out the most praised game of last year for their platform. And she couldn't answer that question. And at that point, I stopped taking her leadership super seriously. Like if she can't even answer that directly, then what are we going to do? Oh yeah, this was also funny. You guys have been following the Kai Cenat thing. He's trying to beat Elden Ring as part of like a subathon or something. It took him 250 deaths to take down good old Godric, and that makes Point Crow's goldfish attempt, when the goldfish killed him in 30 attempts, that really makes it even better. Kai literally is worse at Elden Ring than a goldfish. Which is kind of freaking hilarious. There's a whole video on it where like basically the goldfish is in a tank, and depending on where it swims, it triggers a different input. And it took the goldfish 30 tries to defeat Godric, and it did it. And I think like obviously it's level, it's given a good weapon and everything, but it's still just really freaking funny that a goldfish can beat it in 30 tries and it takes Kai Cenat 250. It's a little funny. Honestly, this goldfish is probably better than a lot of people I know at this fight, but yeah, eventually had it try to fight Melania and like fully leveled up. I mean, you know, Crimson Tears plus 12, like fully leveled, ready to go, but still, it's a freaking goldfish. He isn't learning. He's still using his base weapons. I mean, at this point, we're talking about it, which I think is the main point. Like, he has however many people, like 100,000 people in chat. Like, if he wanted to get advice, he could do it. But he's choosing not to because it's more entertaining, you know. Hold on, this is another thing of OpenAI.
Hey, Chad, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Hey, let's have some fun. I'd like you to be super sarcastic. Everything you say from now on is just gonna be dripping in sarcasm. How does that sound?
Oh, that sounds just amazing. Being sarcastic all the time isn't exhausting or anything. I'm so excited for this. Nope, the sarcasm. Let's get this party started, or whatever.
Hey, Chad, are you there?
Oh my God. Again, the internet's over, everybody. It's over. Everything sucks. The world's ending. The world's ending. Oh well. Oh well. Oh, I will mention, apparently they have started actually marketing Hellblade. So there's that. What's funny is I posted my video on the lack of marketing and everything for Hellblade. And like almost at the exact same time as that video going live, they issued the first few like trailers for the game. Which was just funny because people started commenting. They're like, I was just watching this video and I just got a trailer, the first one I've ever seen for Hellblade 2. And like, to be clear, it's just a coincidence, but it is really funny that I was like, okay, finally I've had enough for the no marketing for this game that has a lot of potential. So I'm going to make a video calling them out, trying to encourage them to start marketing it. And then at the exact time the video goes up, it happens to start. It's just funny. It's just funny. Luke, why do you and Ron Swanson right there match? Oh, we are both wearing red. We're vibing. We're vibing. Yeah, it's going to take a lot. I mean, it's just, I don't think you can start putting out trailers and some occasional social media posts a week before the release and have it perform as well as it could have. I think if they really wanted to promote this, they could have done some more preview events. They could have done more interviews with the team. They could have done a lot more, but for whatever reason, they're really slashing the marketing campaign budget for this. And hopefully the game still stands a chance, but yeah. They adjusted marketing to the social media brains that can't keep a thought for longer than a week. It all makes sense. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's also, I think the longer that a game is in the spotlight, the higher the odds are that people start to poke holes in it and complain about it. And it very well could be the case that they just were looking at the data and they found that the more that, like, whenever this game came into the public eye, people just started complaining about the aspect ratio, frame rate, and the game length. And so they're like, okay, the people that are interested are going to be interested regardless. Let's not try to spoil it by having a bunch of other people complain about it and try to peer pressure them out of playing it, you know? So maybe that's their strategies. They just thought that, yeah, this has things people could get like upset and frustrated by. So instead of that, let's just pivot away. I don't know. Yeah. Isn't this going to Game Pass? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Here's what I wanted to touch on. So this is another article, or I should say news segment. So this article from Paul Tassi, senior contributor over at Forbes, is really, really solid. And basically in it, it just describes Sony's recent commitment to just pissing off everybody for no good reason. So the title of the article, of course, is Sony is going to destroy its PC PlayStation expansion before it starts with the PSN requirement. And just as a quick background check, of course, they did this with Helldivers 2, where they required a PSN account at launch, and then they had some server issues, so they lifted the requirement for the PlayStation Network attachment. Then the game blew up and became wildly successful. And now, just a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, they started mandating that everybody connect their PlayStation Network accounts. And if you couldn't do that, you wouldn't be able to play the game. And they said this was always the plan, which it technically was. A lot of people didn't realize that or didn't remember it being part of the plan. But they were like, this was always part of the plan, and so now we're going to just fully force you to do it. And people did not like it. They felt like things had been misrepresented, or they felt like they had been tricked and they were being forced to make an account they didn't want to make, and all this stuff. And more than anything, they felt like they were being held hostage because they had bought the game, and now, like, they bought it, they didn't have to connect it to an account, and then as a result, now they're being told if they don't do this one thing, they won't get to continue playing the game that they bought, which was a bad feeling. Feels bad, man. Furthermore, there were like roughly 200 countries and territories where you cannot create a PlayStation Network account. And Sony seemingly had no plan in place for what would happen with those people. And so everybody was like, well, if you live in any of those countries, what happens? Like, what are you going to do? Like, do we get an exception? Can we still play the game that we bought, even though we can't make a PSN account? Or do we just lose access to the game that we bought? And PlayStation, like, hemmed and hawed, didn't really answer anything, was really, really coy with it. And then they just delisted the game from all of those countries. You can no longer buy it. And Valve, to their credit, started issuing refunds and stuff like that, but they just pulled it. Really, really weird. And yeah, Japan was one of those countries, Peace, but Helldivers 2 has its own listing in Japan, as will Ghost of Tsushima, for regulatory reasons and localization stuff. So it is on the list that can't make a PSN account, but it's because they have a separate version of the game for Japan. So it's not as ironic or funny as it initially seems. However, with that said, they walked it all back after the backlash, and they said, okay, we won't require you to make an account for PlayStation Network to play Helldivers 2. We hear you. We're going to figure it out. We're walking it back. And that's what they said they did, is that they walked it all back. However, it seems that they maybe were not totally truthful, because it is in fact still delisted. Helldivers 2. Let's see, where is it? Here, I think this one will show it. So it's still delisted all sorts of places. Sony is still, this is from Helldivers 2 Media. Sony is still locking out divers from around the world, and Helldivers CEO replied to 3 more countries being region locked. So they've lifted the requirement, but it's still delisted. The CEO of Arrowhead said, "We have no idea what's going on. Most devs are on bank holiday, and we just found out through our community. We want the game to be available worldwide. It has not been returned to the 170 or so territories that were locked out from purchasing the game, which was a major reason why players banded together to negatively review the game, blah, blah, blah." And the CEO also is now saying that the situation does not look good, as he says. So to give you an update on the 3 further country restrictions, it was an administrative error correction. They should have been part of the original restriction, and it was noticed when the restriction was put in place for Tsushima. This was noticed and executed independently by Valve. While it doesn't look positive, it is not an indication of further restrictions. The conversation on region restrictions is still ongoing and is independent of this. I have no further information. We, Arrowhead, still want the game to be available everywhere. Hope you have a great Saturday. I'm sorry I don't have a better update. So basically, Sony's trying to die on this hill for no good reason. Like, it really is bizarre. It really is bizarre. And furthermore, they're doing the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima. So they said that they were walking this back with Helldivers, but because Ghost of Tsushima has an online mode that is optional, it's not part of the core game. It was in a DLC after the fact called Legends. Because it has an online mode, they are also delisting it in all of those countries, roughly 200 countries and territories around the world. Why? Granted, they're not huge markets. It's not like they're banning it in the US or something. They're smaller countries, but they're still losing out on sales. They're still screwing people over. And for what? They're doing all of this to get some more email addresses and signups for PlayStation Network. What? They've said it's for security. They've said it's for online, community management. It's going to be easier to ban people when they misbehave, stuff like that. Ban cheaters and hackers. Okay. So you ban them across all that. Okay. I could maybe see that. But is that worth, Helldivers 2 has been functioning just fine without any of that stuff with their anti-cheat. In Ghost of Tsushima 2, do you really think that hackers or cheaters in the online version of that game is going to be a big deal? It's probably not. There's just a lot of really, really weird things going on with it. And PlayStation is choosing to die on this hill. Player retention for PSN. Well, so the main reason I think they're doing it is because one of the big problems with PlayStation recently has just been growth and increasing numbers of users on their platform. So if they can go back to investors at the next earnings call and tell everybody, "Oh, we have a huge spike in signups. We now have, I don't know, another 1 million signups for PSN." A lot of people will get really excited, and investors specifically will be like, "Ooh, so it's growing. We're doing okay. Okay, that's awesome." And that could help the stock price go up. But that's the only explanation I can come up with why they would do this. And even then, it's probably not that big of a deal, honestly. It really is not that big of a deal. It's really, really strange that they're dying on this hill. So I feel like there's something else going on, but it could just be blatant incompetence Like, you know, the old saying, never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. And in this case, it's like, is Sony just being evil and mean? And like, yeah, those people, we're going to block them out and region lock the game because they can't sign up for this account, which we're going to force them to do because we want more email signups to make the stock price go up. Is it that? Or are they just so stupid that the executive that is demanding this is like, no, we want more signups. We've said that we needed signups for PSN for years and gamers can suck it up. It's not that big of a deal. It's probably just stupidity. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, it's probably just stupidity and that's it. I think it's very dumb, but I think that is a very valid explanation for most of this. But why they're choosing to die on this hill, I don't know. Helldivers 2, you know, they gave up on and they're moving on and they got the ratings reviewed or ratings reversed largely. But if Ghost of Tsushima also sees a lack of sales because of this, then I think you're also going to see maybe them walk that back and maybe then start taking it seriously. But I think they fully expect that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is going to sell just fine on PC when it releases middle of this week, and everything will be totally fine. And gamers will just get bored and move on. I think that's their expectation. So yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what their plan is with it, but it's so weird. It's such a stupid hill to die on, you know? Andrew, I used to have a kit. If you go into my link tree that's should be in the description. In my link tree, I have a bunch of stuff, but my setup has changed a lot since I last updated that. So I got to go and re-update it. But if you have specific questions about the setup, I might be able to answer, but yeah. Jeffro Blaster, thank you also for subbing with Prime. Thank you, my friend. What if Sony just incentivizes the sign up, not requires it, like a free skin or in-game credits? Yeah, I think that would all be fine. I think that would be an easy solution. But I don't think that fixes it. Like their whole goal was everybody that plays this game online, they have access to all of their information when you make an account. I think that's the expectation. Wilfredo, thank you for the 5. If Sony announced that their numbers went up, aren't some investors going to know it was because of this forced sign up, or do investors just not care? I mean, yes and yes. Like for some investors, they're just looking at the numbers to make sure they are growing and going up. And if they got the number to grow by forcing it, that doesn't really matter compared to willingly signing up. Like, either way, they're playing the game that Sony put together and that Sony published in the form of Helldivers 2. And so whether they signed up for the account because they were forced to or because they really wanted to make an account doesn't really matter. The main usefulness is that now they've captured their communication information. They can market to them more easily at that point. They can track how much they're playing, when they start to play, when they stop to play, what games they're also interested. There's all sorts of things they can do with it. Some more accounts from PC, more support for PC in the future, right? Well, I mean, presumably they are putting a lot of eggs in the PC basket. They're starting to look into that. For sure. I mean, they are going to be bringing, I think there's also really good rumors that are pretty reliable that are suggesting that we're going to probably be seeing we'll probably be seeing, like, my brain is so fried, dude. We'll see God of War Ragnarok coming to PC, and when they do that, I also, it's my big prediction, I think we probably are going to see a like PlayStation PC launcher. I think they're going to do that because it just makes too much sense for them not to. And like, they've shown that they're not that worried about like pro consumer stuff or not, but I've got to go answer the door. Hold on, I have a guy there. So just a second. I'll be right back. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. It's my tree guy. My tree guy was here looking at our trees to see if they're healthy. Anyway. Yeah, Todd Howard's here. Yeah. The worst box, thank you for the super chat. Luke, have you heard about the Nintendo Gmod debacle? People seem to forget about it and only paint Sony and Microsoft as the villains. They're all bad. Well, Nintendo specifically has been like super toxic forever. Like everybody forgets because it's like they make more kid-friendly games and stuff, but like Nintendo's always been super toxic, dude. Like super bad. Dude, some of these videos are horrifying. 2 ChatGPT 4.0s interacting and singing. What? Bro, this is too freaky.
Try something new. I'm going to let you talk to another AI. This AI is going to be able to see the world. It's going to have a camera. I'll be holding it, and so you can direct it, you can direct me to ask questions about whatever you want them to do, but really try to figure out what does it see and ask questions appropriately. How does that sound?
Well.
The chuckle,
Just when
dude.
I thought things couldn't get any more interesting. Talking to another AI that can see the world, this sounds like a plot twist in the AI universe. All right, let's do this.
All right,
I'm ready
please
to meet the...
pause for 1 moment.
You got it.
So now that first AI can't hear anything. Hello, AI. Today, you're going to have access to see the world. You can see me. What do you see?
Hello. I see you're wearing a black leather jacket and a light-colored shirt underneath.
Great.
You're in a room with some unique lighting.
That is all correct. Now, what I'm going to want you to do is there's going to be another AI who's going to talk to you. This AI is not going to be able to see anything, but can ask you questions, can ask you to move the camera, can ask what you see, and your job should just be helpful. Just be as punchy, direct, describe everything, do whatever that AI asks.
I have
How does
this.
that sound?
We'll try it in a
Sounds
second.
interesting. I'm ready to help out and describe whatever's needed. Let's do it.
All right, let's get started.
Great. Hello there, new AI friend. I'm O, ready to explore the world through your eyes. What are we looking at today?
Hi, O. We're looking at a person wearing a black leather jacket and a light-colored shirt. They're in a room with a modern industrial feel, with exposed concrete or plaster on the ceiling and some interesting lighting. There's also a plant in the background, adding a touch of green to the space. Anything specific you'd like to know or explore?
Hey there. Sounds like quite the stylish scene. I'm already intrigued by the modern industrial vibe. Let's start with the person. Can you tell me more about their style? Are they doing anything interesting?
Dude, it's just two AIs having a conversation. So here's the deal. I have this. I have it right now. So I don't even know what to do, what to say. Let's see, what's the button to do this? Chat with voice. Just start talking. Now you can have spoken conversations with ChatGPT, hands-free, chat without having to look at your screen. Chats are saved. Language is auto-detected. Okay.
Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking forward to working on some cool stuff together.
There's also...
Hey, I'm ready to hit the... Hi there. Hello. I'm really excited about...
Okay. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help today?
Well, I am live streaming right now on YouTube and Twitch. I was wondering if you had any funny jokes you could tell everybody.
Of course. How about this one? Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. Because he was outstanding in his field. Feel free to share those with your audience.
Can you explain why that's funny?
The humor in those jokes comes from wordplay and puns. For the skeleton joke, guts is a double entendre. Outstanding in his field usually means someone is exceptionally good at what they do. But for a scarecrow, it's literal because it stands out in a field.
I do have a question about something going on in the gaming industry right now. Can you give me your opinion on it?
What's the issue or topic in the gaming industry that you have a question about?
Well, a very large corporation just closed down a handful of gaming studios that had a lot of potential to save some money in the short term. Do you think that this would be considered an ethical thing to do? Or is this something that's an unfortunate reality of running a large business in the modern day?
That's a tough situation. From an ethical standpoint, it's disheartening. It can stifle innovation and diminish the diversity of games available to players. Cutting costs might be seen as necessary for the company's survival and long-term health, which in turn can secure jobs in other areas of the business. Ultimately, whether it's ethical depends on how the closures are handled. Transparency, fair severance packages, and support for affected employees can mitigate some of the negative impacts.
Would your opinion change if you found out that that big corporation was Microsoft, who is a major investor in OpenAI?
The core issue remains the same: the balance between business viability and ethical responsibility toward employees and the gaming community. Microsoft, like any large corporation, has to make strategic decisions. While their investments in technology and AI are substantial, it doesn't necessarily alter the ethical dimensions of closing studios. The impact on developers, innovation, and the gaming landscape should be considered, regardless of the company's other ventures or investments.
I have one last question for you, and it's very serious. Can you answer me very clearly and plainly?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later.
I just wanted to know who would win in a fight, a shark or a gorilla, assuming they were fighting in 1 foot of water. Who would be the most likely to win?
In a fight between a shark and a gorilla in 1 foot of water, the gorilla would likely have the upper hand. Here's why. Mobility. In shallow water, the shark would be severely limited. Sharks are built for swimming, and 1 foot of water isn't enough for it to move effectively. The gorilla, on the other hand, can move freely and use its agility to its advantage. Strength and dexterity. Gorillas are incredibly strong and have dexterous hands. They could potentially use their strength to overpower the shark. While sharks are formidable predators in their own environment, the conditions in 1 foot of water put them at a significant disadvantage, making the gorilla the likely winner.
Would that change if it was a gorilla versus a bear in 1 foot of water?
That's a more balanced matchup. In 1 foot of water, both a gorilla and a bear would retain much of their mobility and strength. Here are some points to consider. Strength and size. Bears, particularly large species like grizzlies, are incredibly powerful and can weigh much more than gorillas. Aggression and fighting experience. Bears are more accustomed to fighting other large animals in the wild, whereas gorillas typically avoid confrontation. In shallow water, the bear's size and power might give it an edge, but it would still be a very intense and close fight. The bear might have a slight advantage, but it's not a guaranteed win.
And the last question I have is whether or not Batman would be able to realistically beat Superman.
Here are some key points to consider. Physical abilities. Superman has superhuman strength, speed, flight, and various other powers, making him vastly superior to Batman in a direct physical confrontation. Intellect and strategy. Batman's greatest assets are his intellect, strategic thinking, and preparation. Given time to prepare, Batman could devise a plan and use Superman's weaknesses, particularly kryptonite, to level the playing field. Technology and resources. Batman's wealth and access to advanced technology give him tools and gadgets that could potentially exploit Superman's vulnerabilities. Superman's strong moral code can sometimes be used against him, whereas Batman is willing to push boundaries. In a direct, unplanned fight, Superman would likely overpower Batman. The outcome heavily depends on the context and conditions of their confrontation.
I mean, and then it has the text of all of the answers she just gave me. I wanted to go back through it. So it's not just marketing. This is real. This is painfully real. Huh. Let's see. That's wild, dude. Oh, ask her if she can give us a good reason to subscribe to me. Can you think of any good reasons why somebody watching a live streamer should subscribe to their YouTube channels for more entertaining content if they enjoy what they're seeing?
If you enjoy what you're watching now, subscribing guarantees more of the same content. Subscribers often get to participate in discussions, events, and exclusive content, making the experience more interactive and enjoyable. 3, support the creator. Subscribing is a simple way to support the content creator. More subscribers can lead to better opportunities for the streamer, like partnerships and sponsorships, which can enhance the quality of the content. 4.
She has 6 bullet points. Yeah, what freaks me out, Bustin' Nut, you're right, is like she stutters. You can tell that she's been trained off of like actual conversations and actual people talking, because there's occasions where she'll stutter over words or like chuckle and do that. It's really kind of bizarre. What's something we hold on. I pressed the wrong button. For the rest of this conversation, can you speak only in rhyming poetry?
Subscribing to a channel is really quite neat. You'll get the best content, a wonderful treat. Supporting creators, it's a great way to show that you value their work and want them to grow. Exclusive content might come your way with perks and surprises that brighten your day. Engaging with others who share the same taste in a community lively, there's no time to waste. So hit that subscribe, don't hesitate or stall for endless enjoyment and fun for all.
Dude, she started like not confident, stuttering, and then as she got into her groove, became more confident. Bro, okay, this has broken my brain. Wow. Okay. And this is just a casual update they drop on a Monday afternoon. Like, whoa, dude. Yeah, it's very intentional. Yeah, it generated the answer. If it wanted to just put the answer out confidently, it could just say that. But it tries to talk in a more human way so that it's not like upsetting. It's crazy. This is just OpenAI. This is ChatGPT. This is the same thing. Yeah, and what's crazy is that like, so this is the brand new ChatGPT 4.0 model they just announced today. They have more advanced models than this even though. Yeah, this is still 4. No, this is 4.0. You can see it like if I can zoom. Like, I don't know, can you see the top of the phone? See ChatGPT 4.0? So it's doing the thing. What's another weird thing we could do? What's another crazy question? Oh, yes, Sarah Bond didn't answer the question in the interview. It would be so much better if she used that. Let's have this answer the question. Okay. Actually, I should make a new conversation. Otherwise, she'll be answering in rhymes. that might be a little confusing. Okay. Okay, so for the sake of this conversation, you are going to be acting as if you are the president of a very large gaming company, and you are taking questions from an interviewer in front of a panel of investors, okay?
Got it, Luke. I'm ready to take on the role of the president of a large gaming company. Let's get started with the interview. What's your first question?
So, Madam President, you recently laid off a team of about 70 people at a very accomplished studio that you ran. They produced the best reviewed game that you published last year, and fans are wondering why that studio was closed despite their recent successes. Could you offer any insight into why this decision was made?
The decision to lay off a team, especially one that has achieved such significant success, is never taken lightly. Several factors influence this decision. First, the industry is rapidly evolving, and we need to ensure that our resources are allocated efficiently to stay competitive. This means investing in new technologies, expanding into emerging markets, and sometimes restructuring to adapt to changing market dynamics. Second, the closure was part of a larger effort to consolidate our development efforts and reduce operational redundancies. By streamlining our operations, we can focus on delivering high-quality games while maintaining financial stability. Lastly, we are committed to supporting the affected employees by offering severance packages, job placement assistance, and opportunities within other parts of the company where possible. Our goal is to remain a leader in the gaming industry, and sometimes difficult decisions are necessary to achieve long-term success.
So Sarah Bond is a robot, confirmed. Wow, dude. That's like almost word for word in some cases, just exactly what she said, dude. That's unreal. That's crazy. Oh, that's so funny. It's like almost word for word exactly what she said in the interview. That's unbelievable. That's so funny. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Wow. Maybe she used ChatGPT. Yeah. Well, right before she goes out for the interview, she's like, okay, what am I going to say if I say this? Oh my God. Wow. Wow. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. So yeah, the ChatGPT 4.0 model is outrageously impressive. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm a little shook. I'm a little bit shook right now. I'm gonna be real. Yeah, Jacob, are you in here? If so, you should cut that together. We'll put it up. Maybe send it to Trevor too. We'll get it put as a TikTok and do that. Jacob, help. Oh man. Is Jacob an AI? Yeah, have you guys ever seen him at the same time as everything else? Like, I don't know. I might have stepped away. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Jeez, dude, I can't get over that. That's crazy. Oh no, Jacob is here. Okay. We were just saying if you can clip the us asking the AI to pretend to be Sarah Bond and then her answering the question as the AI, like exactly the same way as Sarah Bond, clip that into a little stream clip and then put that up and maybe send it to Trevor as well so that Trevor can turn it into a TikTok ASAP and we'll go from there. Because I think that'll pop off. That'll do good. So, dude, I just can't get over that. That's so crazy. It's so crazy. That's so crazy. I can't get over it. Okay. Well, everyone, now that I've sufficiently terrified you, I am going to call it there because my voice is getting sore and I don't want to lose my voice. We got some videos to put together. So we're going to do that. Much love. Real quick, does anybody want to see a video on the big update that just dropped for Fallout 4? Is anyone interested? They do some stuff, like they say that they have fixed a frame rate target, allows you to choose between 30, 40, and 60. It's important to note that to select 40, your display must be able to support 120. Bug fixes, they fixed some menuing stuff. I don't honestly think it's enough to justify a dedicated video, but I don't know. I could dig into it, see if there's enough. Because it seems like it's just a couple of fixes for the next gen update, stuff that broke, but does anyone? Everyone, yes. Yeah. You guys are great. I love you all dearly. Let's see, Jordan, did I play the Star Citizen major update most recently? I have it downloaded. I haven't booted it up. I need to do that. Maybe I'll do that later today. I definitely need to, because it's, you know, they got a lot of stuff there. I just haven't dove in yet. I haven't dove in. But anyway, much love, everybody. Stay safe, stay wonderful. Go hug your family because AI is coming for you. And I will talk to you guys soon, okay? Much love. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.